What's up, Hoop Reporters? It's your boy Manny here, and welcome to another edition of the Hoop Report, the NAI Women's Basketball Podcast. So excited to finally be back. I know for you guys, there was not a time missed, but for us, we had a week off from recording, just kind of taking a break, and now we're back into it. Episode 8, Part 6. Lex, we have reached the other side. We are on the downside. Episode 8, Part 6. It's crazy to think about it. Obviously, want to take this time. I know we've kind of been doing it a lot lately, but it's just because with us reaching this halfway point, it's all about kind of breaking it up. It is a daunting thing, but if we can see the milestones throughout the way, I think it's important to kind of reflect on them. And again, thank you to everybody 100%. Out there. Thank you to everybody who's been supporting the podcast, social medias, all that kind of stuff. I mean, 5 episodes in, and it's been pretty good. Lex and I just talked about it off air. The views that we're getting, the interaction that we're getting, it's honestly very, very reassuring and very exciting. So definitely want to thanks to everybody out there, because without y'all, we don't have a show. We know this. But five episodes down. 10 conferences down. Can't do math there. 10 conferences down, 10 more to go, and we will start today with the GSAC, the Great Southwest Athletic Conference. Lex, normally we do the names and all that stuff at the beginning, but I kind of want to save it towards the end because I think that'll be...
I agree.
Question number 2, I think, is a good way to kind of talk about the name of this conference, because it's got an interesting one for sure. But before we talk about anything, and I'm going to put extra emphasis on this because this episode is coming out. It'll come out later this Friday, the 3rd. I don't even know what the Friday is. The first Friday of September. We're going to do that because I can't think off the top of my head what the first Friday of September.
I think it's the 5th.
I think it is the 5th. So the 5th, we're recording this Saturday before on August 30th. Again, housekeeping rules. We don't know what everybody has. We don't know what all these teams have. We are going off of the stats. We're going off of the rosters on the websites. If they're up, if they're not up, there's a little bit of interpretation that has to be done on our part. Not saying anything wrong with that. That's part of sports coverage. Sometimes you gotta project and all that kind of stuff. Did send out a Google form at the beginning of the year. Some coaches got back to me, some coaches didn't. Nothing against the coaches. I understand you guys are busy. I understand all of you are busy, so we're not gonna be upset about that. But just for the people at home to get a better picture of where we're coming from with these takes and all this kind of stuff that we're talking about, that is what we're saying. Now that that's done, we'll get right into it. Back to work like we never left. The Great Southwest Athletic Conference. Last year, your number 1 seed and your regular season champions were Arizona Christian, 2 seed, the Masters, Park Gilbert, Hope International, Benedict Mesa, Ottawa from Arizona, and then Embry-Riddle and Life Pacific. Now, we are up to 9 teams this year. La Sierra, I believe I'm saying that right. They will be in the conference this year. I just didn't add them because obviously they weren't on the standings last year. The Arizona Christian team, they were in the national tournament as well as the Masters. The Masters were actually your conference tournament champions. They won, and then your all-conference teams to your left, your postseason awards to your right, as we always do. Round of applause to everybody that made all-conference and won a postseason award. We get into the questions now. 3 main storylines for the GSAC. Who has a better chance of repeating? Arizona Christian for another regular season championship, or the Masters in the GSAC tournament championship? Who is the dark horse of the GSAC? And there can be a lot of dark horses when we talk about this conference. And then number 3, how much of a gap is there between the 4 playoff teams from last year and then the 5, adding La Sierra into it, who did not make it last year? And then, of course, our way to early tiers predictions: 2, 2, 3, and 2 for contenders, playoff locks at the door, and break right. Let's get right into it. Question 1. We're going to be focusing on Arizona Christian. We're going to be focusing on the Masters. We'll start with Arizona Christian. Regular season champions. They were in the national tournament last year. They were the 12th seed. They lost in the first round. The Firestorm are returning 5 players. I've talked to a few coaches. I've talked to a few people. They're losing a lot. They are losing a lot. Lex, tell the people at home exactly what they're losing.
They're losing, starting off with a 3rd-team All-American, All-Conference, and Player of the Year in Ellis Alvarez. 15 points, 3 boards, 3 assists. Very efficient, 40% from the field and 30 from 3. You're also losing a Callie Payne, All-Conference, with 10, 4, and 50% from the field. 51, let's round that up. You're also going to be losing a Graciela Roybal, 10 points, 40% from the field, 33 from 3 with a 91% free throw. While also considering you are losing Freshman of the Year, Alana Washington, a very strong 6'4" and 43%. It's a hefty amount.
It really
Really
is.
is.
Because on the other side, again, returning 5 players, you're along those returners are going to be now senior Emily Till, all conference, arguably the best defender in the conference. Again, I've talked to a few coaches and they just always rave about her ability to lock up and be a presence on that side of the ball. She put up 11.7 rebounds, give her 12. She pretty much flirting with a double-double. She had 3 assists last year, almost 43% from the field. I need her to have a scoring leap. Again, if you're going to be a senior this year on a team that's going to be bringing a lot. I mean, the recruiting class is it doesn't have to be talked about. That is going to be the biggest thing for this Arizona Christian team. I need her scoring leap to go up a little bit. She had 11 double-doubles last year. She had 5 games with 15-plus rebounds last year. She was everywhere. I need her to be everywhere and even more so. I need her to figure out how to be everywhere for an entire 40 minutes. I think she's going to have to
Completely agree.
She's going to have to be into that role where Alyssa was last year. I'm not necessarily 13 All-American, like that's a very high bar, but I'm more so talking about another all-conference, but more so player of the year. I want to see a player of the year type of year for her. And then you also have sophomore Taylor Schwab, 6 points, 2 rebounds, 38%, 39% from the field, 5 games with 10-plus points, all of them in the second half of the year. And you know, we're very big on, like, how do you end the year is important. No matter where the season for your team ended, if you're playing well, I think that's a good thing going into the summer and then into the next season. So if she's able to do that and kind of build off that momentum, I think she can get to about 10 points per game next year, or at least flirt with that. So I'm very excited for this team. Again, talking to a lot of coaches, it's not a surprise about what they're losing, but this team is still dangerous. Arizona Christian, for as long as I've been in the NAI world for the past 6 years or so, they have always been one of those teams that they're perennial national team contenders, whether it's an at-large, whether it's an automatic bid, whatever the case may be. So they're going to go find players. Now we talk about, again, how long does it take to mesh, how long to do all that kind of stuff, because when we come down to recruiting, and I think it's a good point to make here, when we're talking about a team as a recruiting class, we cannot project too far. We can always say that, oh, you're going to go out and recruit the best 15 players in the country from any level.
Yeah.
Cool, great. But you still got to put them all on the court. You still got to put it all together. And it would not be smart of us to say, oh, we're going to overlook that. They're going to figure it out. You can have talent. There's plenty of coaches out there who are shaking their head right now when I say talent does not equate to team success. You can have a lot of individual talented players, but if they're not coming together, they're not figuring it out together, they're not buying into the system, the coaches are still struggling to find roles, now we got an issue. Not to say that team is bad. Maybe you just have a bad year. So this team's still going to be dangerous, though. This team's still going to be dangerous. I think when we talk about this group, it's just going to be a matter of how long. I think you and I both agree they're going to figure it out. When that figure out how it happens is the question for me.
I think if anybody can do it, it would be Coach of the Year, Rusty Rogers. But the same thing to kind of follow back with your question. It's a matter of how soon. And we can answer that.
Put like this. For a team like Arizona Christian, I think they could figure it out within the first month. I think by November, end of November, early December, we're like, all right, they figured it out. Now where do they stack in, not just the GSAC, but everywhere else? Because even if they don't have that great of a start, they can still figure it out. That's why you have non-conference games in the back end of your season, because you know you're still trying to get all the rust out and all that kind of stuff. This team schedule is out on their website. They got a good little group. They got a good little games, couple games here. They will be in the Corbin Classic from Halloween till the 1st. They haven't posted who they will be playing in that Classic yet, but they'll be there. Then they'll be in Concordia, Nebraska for the Cattle Classic. Then they've got Nelson University, Westcliff University, and then their opening conference games are going to be against OUAZ and Embry-Riddle. It'll be a home and away one for them. Then they're going to College of Idaho in their classic. So they've got a nice little number of games here. They're going to be more so going to these classics to where they'll find some of these good teams instead of having to go find individual ones. And then you're off to the races. They also do have, I'm looking lower in the schedule, Huntington, Taylor, Olivier Nazarene. You've got Mount Mary. So they've got a good non-conference slate. And again, that helps when we're talking about what happened last year. You know, they were the number 1 seed, but they didn't win their conference tournament. Their resume and their strength of schedule and that kind of stuff obviously ended up being the reason they got the at-large bid. Before we continue, remember this team, even though they have a new players, they did beat number 8 Carey last year. They did beat number 21 Rocky Mountain last year to start 2-0. And then they beat later in the year Oregon Tech, who was number 20 at the time. So this team, again, even though they're going to be coming in with a new recruiting class, we do not think they're going to have a bad year. We just need to see it before we can say, all right, this is the same Arizona Christian team, or they've taken maybe not the same, but they're still on that same tier or level to be, again, the bar, so to speak, in the GSAC. Go over now to the Masters.
Agree.
the Masters here. This Masters crew, I'm excited for them. I like them. They're nice. They're interesting. You know, the GSAC conference tournament champions, national team, 12th seed as well. They lost in the first round, did the Mustangs. You're returning a lot. You're returning a good amount. You're returning more than Arizona Christian. Granted, Arizona Christian does have 11 newcomers coming in, so very curious to see what those newcomers look like. They were repeat GSAC champions. Lex, let's talk about those returners. Which one of these returners do you really like the most?
My favorite returner right now is Kelly Mathieson. I think that she has a very big upside coming. The way that she ended the year, the way that she was able to maintain a consistent, efficient, and 5 on almost 50% from the field, I believe that she can bring that into this season and can make up for what they're losing. Genuinely.
I'm with you. I like Kelly. I'm going to go with Ali Van Kooten. 6'2 forward, junior, going into be, I believe, her junior year, maybe going into her senior year. 10, 8, 45% from the field. The girl's flirting with a double-double. You know, for Kelly, she had a double-double last year. For Ali, she had 7 double-doubles. She had a unbelievable second half of the year where 10-plus games, all 11 of them came in the second half of the year. She had 16 for the year. So it gives you a perspective of where towards the end she was really finding her footing. She was really coming confident and into that groove. I'm going to let you talk about the rest of the returners. I'm going to go to what they're losing just because you got to talk about it. It's going to be a tough thing for them. Marion Lenz, all-conference player. Lexi Hernandez, all-conference player. Combined, they're losing about 27, maybe a little bit closer to 29. 14 for Lenz, 13 for Hernandez, combined 14 rebounds. Like, you're going to be losing a lot here, but I do believe this team is still the team to beat. You know, to answer the question directly, for me at least, it's going to be more likely that the Masters repeat as conference tournament champions than Arizona Christian winning the regular season championship. Not saying Arizona Christian can't do it, but again, I just like continuity. I like when you're able to bring back and continue to build off what you did last year. And again, the Masters finished 2 in the conference. It wasn't like they were a 3 seed or 4 seed that had a great run. They were number 2. They were arguably the second best team in the conference. And when it came time to it, and for being honest here, they have been the best team in the GSAC for the past 2 years when it matters the most, winning the conference tournament, because that's obviously all that these teams want to do, and that's the goal for the first half of the year. So I'm very excited for this team. I think they have the best returning class. I know you're going to talk a little bit more about it, but to me, this is the team to beat, and this is the more likely of the two. Top 2 seeds to repeat is going to be the Masters with the GSAC Conference Championship. Lex, tell the people at home what else they're returning and your answer to question number 1 for the GSAC.
Top of Van Kooten and Mathieson coming back, we're also returning on Nicole Chuang with 8 points, 2 boards, and 3 assists. And you're also returning a duo of Lainey Greider and Chloe Auble with a combined 12 points and 42% from the field as a unison. That is a strong core you have to rely on leading into this next season and being able to develop into stepping into the roles of Lenz and Hernandez, who are stepping away. But I will say, you know how I am about these stats. I don't like how they're giving what they're getting. Like, the turnover ratio is to a T, the exact same what they're taking away from somebody. And that's too close for me. It really is. But I will say I do like their all-around stats, besides the turnovers, better than Arizona Christian. They are experiencing more of a gap and creating more of a difference between the teams rather than Arizona Christian is kind of flirting a little closer with everything. But I will agree with you. I do think the Masters will come out on top besides, whoever they're losing. But if I have to make a decision, it's definitely the Masters.
Again, this Mustangs team, they're one of the best. Again, another perennial national contender team. And back-to-back GSAC titles, say what you will, the GSAC is a very tough conference because of the fact that there are not that many teams. And now they actually did grow to 9 this year. They did beat Tennessee Cumberlands last year. Again, we know that is a very, very good team from the Mid-South. They lost to Freed Hardeman, but only by 5 points. Freed Hardeman, again, we know how good they're going to be, and they have been, especially in year 1. This team is prime for something. I think that they are the team to beat because they have been the team to beat for the past 2 years. It is what it is. Sometimes you just got to call a spade a spade. Their schedule is out. They have very solid non-conference schedule, arguably up there with maybe a top 10. The first game is going to be November 4th, so they got a little bit of a break besides everybody else. Again, for those who don't know, the opening day is October 23rd. Then the Southern Oregon Classic. Talk about a test. Southern Oregon at Southern Oregon. That's going to be a tough one. And then Oregon Tech in that Classic as well.
Two big dogs.
Big dogs in the Cascade. If the Masters go in to the Southern Oregon Classic and they go 2-0, because I think 1-1 is in play. I do think 1-1 is in play, so I'm not going to overreact with that one. But 2-0, 2-0 on the road, especially with that Southern Oregon game, that's a statement for me. That's a statement for me early on.
If they go 2-0, they take number one in the conference.
And let's go a little bit deeper. They're also going to be in the College of Idaho Classic. Apparently, according to this, they got Eastern Oregon and College of Idaho. That's 4 Cascade teams that you're playing against, all on the road. And 2 of them are going to be in the team's home gym in College of Idaho and Southern Oregon. If you go 3-1 or even 4-0 in because I don't see them going 2-2. I think they're going to be able to have a plus 500, above 500 record between those 4 games. I really like what they have. But if you go 3-1 and 4-0, I'm looking at this. You might be not just, a national, like you might be able to be top 15, top 20 when the receiving votes comes out, and that's going into the GSAC. And if you're able to do that and then handle business in the GSAC, you're flirting with the top 15, easily maybe top 12 when the polls come out. I think their non-conference schedule, it might not be deep in the theme of how many teams they have, but the teams that they do have hold a lot of weight. And I think that's the biggest thing that they win with. Their conference openers will be against Ottawa, La Sierra, and Life, and then they'll wrap it up a little bit with Hope International, Embry-Riddle, and the rest of the crew. This Masters crew, that they have a very good roadmap in front of them from conference, non-conference, what they're bringing back. They check a lot of boxes. This team is going to be, if they're able to get hot at the right time, this could be a team when we talk about the national tournament, we got to really be keeping an eye on, because they're doing something over there in this university. Go over now to Park Gilbert. At the time you guys are watching this video, you guys have probably already seen, hopefully you've already seen my interview with Coach Ben York. Go ahead and check that out if you haven't. Great interview. I'm very excited for everybody to see that one or has seen that one. We'll talk about now question number 2 for the GSAC. Who is your dark horse? Who is your dark horse team in the GSAC this year? This is a loaded question. There's a lot of teams you can pick from, and I don't think there's a wrong answer. I'm just curious to see what your answer is. I'll start with Park Gilbert. We're going to start with Park Gilbert here. The Bucks. This team, I think it might be the year. I'm going to let you start with them, but I'm going to set you up by saying this. This team for the past 2 years, under Coach Ben York, has made it to the GSAC semifinals, has been a top 3 seed in the GSAC all those years, I believe. Is year 3 the break through the glass ceiling? Is it the year that you're able to do it and finally get, not necessarily win the GSAC, but get to the finals of the GSAC? That's my biggest question for you. Do you think they can do it this coming year?
Short answer, yes. That's a short answer. Long answer is I definitely do need some form of improvement as far as a whole, but with what you're losing and what you're getting back, you have the opportunity to really make a difference. I just need a little more efficiency as far as shooting the ball. I need more of a gap between your opponents, and you got to handle the ball better as far as turnovers. But if you continue to be that defensive staple that this Park Gilbert team is, and I definitely do think that they can cause some havoc. They might even be able to sneak a couple seeds up if you can predict what I'm saying here.
I can predict what you're saying, and I'm with it. I'm going to talk about exactly what they're losing, though. Savannah Ureta, all-conference player. Kayla Schroeder, all-conference player. Abri Salpaga, these three players, all 10 plus per game scorers, all very efficient. For those who don't know, and again, a little glimpse into my interview with Coach Ben York, this is Shooter U. I'm going to say it again. This is Shooter U. They play 3-point line to 3-point line. This is a known thing now at Park University. They call it the full sail system because it's full sail. We're going 3 for 3 for 3. And then on the other side of the ball, they pressure you every single second, 94 feet for 40 minutes straight. That's how Coach Ben York wants to play. That's how they have been playing. And I think that the third year is going to be the year where it all comes together. Again, you're losing a lot, especially with Kayla and Savannah. 17 for Savannah, 42% from the field, almost 40% from the three-point line, 94 from the free throw line. I'm going to say it again. Those are near 50, 40, 90 splits if we're being serious here. And then Kayla, 15, 4, 3 assists, 2 steals to go along with it. Because this team, even though they give up a lot of points, it's not because they're a bad defense. They just play at a high pace. So it's going to happen. But she's also shooting 43%, 44% from the field, 39% from the field, 87% from the free throw line, 50, 40, 90. Can we talk about it for a second? It's a lot of shooting that they're missing. But I know when you talk about what they're going to be bringing back, let's just say, and I'll set you up with this one, Alana Palacios, I need a player of the year to leap. I need it. I want it. And I think you can agree with me on that one.
100%. I think for Palacios being all conference and defensive player of the year, I need more of an offensive reliance on you coming into the season. You're also bringing back Hamani Kalia with 8, 2, and a very solid 37 from 3, 38 from the field. 5th in the GSAC with threes, which in 5+ games, which is a very, very important stat to highlight. And then you're also returning Larkin Hoare with 5, 3, with 35%, 35 from 3 as well, with an 86 free throw percentage. All in all, very strong shooting team. If Coach York is going to label this a 3-point leading team, then I'm going to challenge Coach York and say that as a team, you need to be creeping closer to 40% from 3. I need that. For you to be able to be successful, you need to increase that 3-point a little bit if that's what you're harping on so much, and continue to be a defensive presence. Decrease those turnovers, increase the gap against your teams, and you can easily creep into top 2, maybe number 1, depending on how the flow of the season goes. If you fix those things, everything else is a game-by-game basis.
I like the percentage. No, because again, yes, they're shooting 35% pretty much last year, and wow, it's more so in a stat that talks about the number of shots, because this is a really good shooting team. Like they have a bunch of shooters on this team. They brought in a bunch of shooters on this team that we're going to get to in a minute here, but I think it's going to come down to quality of the threes, because they've proven that they can shoot it. And the scouting report is always going to say for
shot selection,
run them off the line. That's what they're going to say. So now you've got to be able to be okay shooting with pressure, with the contest, with the hand in your face. You're not going to be able to look at the rim anymore. I like to say, once you get to college level here, at any level really, you're not going to get open shots, whether it's a 3, mid-range, whatever. You're not going to get it unless the defense has a collapse, unless you run a beautifully executed ATO or something like that. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a hand in your face, a late contest. Someone's going to be on you on some degree. So you can't look for the clean ones, but you have to be comfortable shooting the contested ones. And I think if they become comfortable, 40% I think is a very realistic goal for them. Even if it's 37, 38, those 3 percentage points will definitely be a increase for them.
For sure. The goal, the challenge is be closer to 40 than you are to 30.
I like that one. That might be the goal. That might be going up in the locker room. I like that one. Be closer to 30 than you are. Be closer to 40 than you are to 30. I like that one. Again, this team was number 2 in 3-pointers made at 305. Number 15 in points per game. Number 9 in steals. Number 8 in turnovers forced. Like, this team is going to be really, really good. The newcomers I'm very excited about. Coach talked about a few of them. To highlight the main newcomers that I'm excited for, Haley Valencia. She's a D2 transfer from Western Colorado. Allie Cummings, D2 from Point Loma. You have Jalissa Gilmist and Alana West, 2 JUCO products. JUCO is a different animal out there for those who know. Then you've got Sylvia Gray, freshman, Offensive Player of the Year for her senior year in high school. Talk to me nice. That's all I'm going to say. Then you've got Jordan DeNorvis, a freshman, top 15 guard in Nebraska. I think Coach Ben York did a great job at recruiting, not just as a whole, but individually. Again, I just talked about it. You had two transfers from the D2 level. You had 2 JUCO transfers. You've had 2 freshmen already. And then the last freshmen that we're going to talk about, they know a little bit about playing with each other and winning together. Leah Gross and Savannah Pileta, 2 freshmen that were teammates in high school and are 3-time state champs. It's got to be a round of applause for that. It's hard to do that one time, let alone 3.
It's very difficult.
I think Coach York did a great job at bringing in young, new faces, but all people that want to win or have won where they're coming from.
But I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Coach York have to put the pieces together.
We just said it. I love how you bring it back up. We like it, but we got to see it. That's why for me,
it looks great on paper, but
for me, I'm not going to peg them as the dark horse. I do think they're closer to contender though. But I think, and we'll take this moment to talk about it, dark horse to me means a team that will finish either 4th or 3rd, more so 4th, but has a good chance at making a nice little run here in the conference. For those who don't know, the GSAC only has 4 teams in the conference tournament. It could go up a little bit now because they have 9 teams. We'll see, but we're going to go off of what they have been doing, which is 4 teams in the postseason. So we're looking at a team that can make the 4th seed and then make a deep run off the 4th seed. That's what we're going to look at for the dark horse. I think Gilbert's going to be a 3rd seed. I think that's the floor for them. So I'm not going to call them as my dark horses yet. We'll do the schedule in a minute. Do you agree?
I completely agree. I think it's pretty evenly separated. You go 1 through 3, and then 4 through 9 is pretty in the same bracket, but there's a gap in between first 3 and the last 6 or so.
I like that one for sure. We talked about the schedule again. This team had some great moments last year. They did beat Rocky Mountain on the road. Very tough place to play. They set records all across the 3-point mark. They even set the record for most threes in a game 2 times, making 20 in a single game. Their schedule. I'm going to start here because they've got a few non-conference games to start their season out. Then they've got 2 back-to-back classics. They've got Lewis and Clark State Classic, where as of right now, it says Eastern Oregon, but I believe that is more so where the games will be held. Could it be Eastern Oregon? We'll see. But they are going to be playing at Lewis and Clark State. The Cascade is clearly going with a little crossover right here with the GSAC. It's going to be a test more of Lewis and Clark will be a great game. Who you have in that Eastern Oregon slot is my question. If it's a very, granted, every team in the Cascade is going to be a tough team, so that's not, but it's going to matter more so when we talk about have you been tested, all that kind of stuff. So I'm very curious to see who they play. Now, the Oregon Tech Classic. This is a little different from the previous schedule with the Masters. The Masters is a Southern Oregon Classic. Right? In that game, the Masters have Southern Oregon on November 6th, and then it says Oregon Tech on November 7th. Could it be Oregon Tech? We don't know. We're assuming it is. For Park, in the Oregon Tech Classic, on the 14th, you have Southern Oregon possibly, and then you also have Oregon Tech on the 15th. So there's a chance that Park Gilbert and the Masters both play Oregon Tech and Southern Oregon. And the reason I bring that up is, again, kind of deep diving into the whole tournament stuff. We all know, all the coaches.
That's a very important game right there.
Because now you're talking about I beat you, who beat them. When you got to start talking about that kind of stuff, now it's a
simple analogy.
You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be a big test for both those teams, because then obviously you play twice in the GSAC. So if the Masters beat one of those 2 teams or both of them, if Park Gilbert beats one of those 2 teams or both of them, and then they get 1-1, like there's a world where the GSAC can have 3 teams in the national tournament next year, 2 of them being at-large bids. Like, I'm being realistic here. It's a possibility. Will it happen? That's a stretch. I'm not going to lie to you. But there's a world because of what these coaches have done with their schedule, and we haven't even gotten to the rest of the conference yet. What they've done with their schedule to play some of the best teams in the country, you're going to be getting some recognition. And if you win some of these games, Park Gilbert, if you can go, I'm going to say 2-2. I think 2-2 makes them a very serious threat in the GSAC, and then a little feisty, little something interesting in the national tournament if they're able to get to that. What is your goal in those 4 games I just mentioned? Assuming it's those 4 teams. Again, it could change. I know it could. Classics sometimes take, turns, all that kind of stuff with things happening. But let's say it's Eastern Oregon, Lewis and Clark State, Southern Oregon, Oregon Tech, and Oregon Tech and LCS are at their place, are on the road. What is the number for you? For me, it's 2-2.
My number is to be closer to 4-0 than you are to 0-4.
Okay.
In whatever form that is, whether it's 3-1 or no, I think the goal is to come out of that over 500.
Okay.
And
does 500 sway you anyway, or it just kind of leaves you where you were?
It leaves me where I am. But it'll sway me if the Masters results are different than what we spoke about.
I do think these two teams.
That's how it'll sway me.
We're going to definitely revisit this because I think those two teams, because of the schedule that they have, we're going to be looking a lot to comparison. I will say 2-2, yes, but I'm not saying 2-2 blowouts. I need 2-2s, but those two losses gotta be close games. I want to see less than 9-point difference. I think that's a very good benchmark for them. And then we've got a few more non-conference games, but then you start your conference opener with Benedict Mesa, then you've got OU, and then you've got Embry-Riddle. Two of those last two going to be on the road. Very good schedule. I do think similar to the Masters like we talked about, they went more so for not that many top teams in your non-conference, but when we do go on non-conference, we gonna get tested. We gonna get tested, and we gonna be in some dogfights. So I'm excited for this Park team. I'm very curious to see what they do. They're not my dark horse. They're not Lex's dark horse. We're gonna move over now to Hope International.
They need to drop their turnovers.
That's Lex's final points for Park. You know he's a turnover. He's a turnover pet peever. That's kind of what we learned.
Literally, if you give the ball up so much, then you're selling yourself short.
So we know how Lex likes his turnover stats. Hope International, the Royals, interesting team. Talk to me about what they're bringing back, because they're a junior class, they're incoming senior class. Could be the best three in the conference. Just saying.
Potentially, incoming seniors, you have Aaliyah Gonzalez, Faith Brinkman, and Amir Austin. They have a very strong offensive front. Realistically, Gonzalez is coming back with 12 boards with 36 from the field, 30 from 3. Brinkman's coming back with 10 and 5 with 32% from the field and 30 from 3. And then you have Amir Austin and freshman Andrea Javier coming back with a combined 15 and 8 with the 45% field goal percentage as a unison. That is honestly all the core that you need to run a team that is realistically the leadership that you're going to be able to depend on and rely on when the season starts to help carry a team on the court into the postseason.
This team...
Moment of silence.
Because this is my dark horse. I'll tell you right now, this is my dark horse. Is this your dark horse? Again, 4 seed. A team that you can see being the 4 seed and making it all the way to the conference tournament championship game. Do you see this as being international?
To be completely frank, I've had a very difficult time picking a dark horse.
Oh, so have I, dog.
Only because
marinate on it, and then I'll give my 2 cents, and we'll see if I sway you. All right, go ahead, take your time, and just listen. All right, for Hope International, the Royals to me are the dark horse. Why? This team, the juniors that Lex talked about, I'm looking at Amiria Austin, 6'1", 3 double-doubles, 13 10-plus point games, 18 5-plus rebound games. She is going to be, to me, the biggest just force when we're talking about what this team can do on the offensive side of the ball. I'm very excited to see what she can do and improve on from last year. Now when we talk about Aaliyah Gonzalez, 12, 5, 30, 36, 30% from the three-point line. 1 double-double last year, 7 15-plus point games, 8 5-plus rebound games. She's only going to get better. She's going to go into her senior year. I think she will be a player of the year contention. Now, I know I just said Amiria to me is the bigger impact, but that's because of the size, the ability to be a presence, especially when you play a team against teams like a Park, like we just talked about, who they're going to go up and down. If you're able to stay in that game, in that play style, it's going to help you. And it does help that Hope International plays a similarly fast pace, not so much 3-point shooting, but just up and down speed of the game. But I do think Gonzalez has the ability to be a player of the year type of player when it's all said and done next year. Faith Berkman, she had a double-double as well. She had 8 15-plus point games as well. She had 16 30-plus minute games, including 2 times that she crossed 40. So she's going to have a boatload of responsibility. And so that's why I feel like if you're returning those 3, you have, like Lex mentioned, a core that checks all 3 boxes. You've got someone who arguably could be the best player in the conference next year. You've got someone who could be the second best or in contention for that number 1 position in terms of player. And you've got someone in Berkman who the load will not be gone. She's still going to have that responsibility. If anything, she's going to be better at the responsibility after being able to deal with it for 1 full season and do it very well. Again, 10-5 on efficient shooting, all above 30% from the 3-point line and from the field. I do like this offense to be a little bit better, though. I'm not going to sit here and say that the sun is shining and the rainbows and the birds are chirping. There is a bigger thing for me to point to, and that is the scoring. That's why they're a dark horse for me. If this team can flirt with 65 clear, not 64.7 like they did last year, if they can get 65 to 66 points, somewhere in that range, they're a dark horse because now, if they get hot, that's the baseline for their offense. If their offense gets hot, now they're in the 70s. If they can go in the 70s for 1 week, which I think they can do, they can run off and get into the conference tournament championship game. The shooting, 37% from the field, 26 from three-pointer. I think that's the correlation. If you get hot from 3, if you're able to stay close to 30 on threes and close to 65, 66 from my points per game standpoint, you set yourself up to be hot when it matters and get significantly more important in your offense's game. Have I swayed you in any sense to pick Hope International?
A little bit, but the angle that I'm going to take here with the rest of these teams is, as you try to sell me, I'm going to continue to point out the inevitable. Why do they give more turnovers than they take? For 1. For 2.
I'm going to talk about that. Go
ahead. Hear me out. For 2. If now senior Faith Brinkman plays 30-plus minutes in more than half of the season, sometimes even reaching 40, does this mean that her shot selection is in question, or she's just not as efficient? And with that being said, we need a leap.
I do agree with that. We do need a leap.
A big leap. We need for Brinkman to be able to be touching 30 minutes a game. I'm going to need at least 15. At minimum. With you, like, I don't want to see a 2 anywhere in your percentage. I need 30 plus for everything, as far as field goals and threes.
All right, I get that one.
And I'm not done. For Amir Austin, for being such a huge presence on the court and being such a huge threat with physicality, I need more defensively. I need for Austin to be the leader defensively, being able to wrestle the team and be that threat to where a team could look when, for example, if they're on the opposite side of a run and they need a big stop, I need Austin to be their front runner and cause that big stop, help lead the team offensively, and start a run of their own, who is going to be able to take that initiative and be that spokesperson. I don't know. But I like them as a dark horse. I think they have the potential.
Are they at the table?
Are
they at your table while you're picking?
Sure. My table is very small. My table is probably like 2 seats.
That's fair. That's fine.
They're there. I just need a lot more. The gap, again, statistically it's just way too close.
All 3 points that you just made, I can sum up, again, talking to some coaches, inexperience. I think that might have been the word that was kind of talked about a little bit. Not saying that the team for the Royals was inexperienced, but they just had inexperienced moments. Like they kind of were trying to figure some things out. Maybe people weren't used to certain roles. So I think that's going to the turnovers, to Faith, to Amiria, I think inexperience, I'm going to give them that benefit.
Is it figured out this year?
Now, that to me and to Lex and to a lot of people out there, you can only use the inexperience card once. You can only use it once.
100%.
So I'm giving it to you now. I don't want to hear inexperience next year. You were in the postseason last year. You were a team that had a very good, deep team last year. Now, arguably, you have maybe not a deeper team, but I think the deepness up top is better. I think that there's going to be a possibility for this team to really improve. You're not losing a lot. The only one you're losing is Mia Ait, who's an all-conference player, 10-8, almost 11-9, to be honest with you, on 46%.
Not the only thing you're losing. That's a big piece.
It is a big piece. And I do think, I'm glad you called me on it. I think only is the wrong word. The person that you're losing while being one, it is going to be a big hit, and I think it touches literally each one of the things you just talked about. I think from a percentage standpoint, I agree. I think Berkman can get easily over 30. Easily clear, not 29.7, but 30, clearing it, and maybe even more into the 30s. I think from a rebounding standpoint, I'm looking at Amiria Austin. Can we get close to those 8 to 9 rebounds a game? I would like to see that. And then we're talking about scoring Aaliyah and Faith, for example, to be honest, and Amiria, to be honest. All of you need to take a scoring leap. I think all of you need to be at least 2 points better than what you were last year. Whatever that number is, give me 2 more. I think you can do that. That's literally 1 free throw attempt more. Can we get to that? I think they can.
I personally think that Gonzalez, Brinkman, and Austin, as far as shot selection, efficiency, and percentage-wise, they need to be closer to 40 than 30. That is my challenge for both field goals and threes. They need to be closer to 40 than 30. If they can do that, then I will lock them in as my dark horse. But until then, they're just at the table.
Before we go over to their schedule, I will say Andrea Javier, 7 10-plus point games, very good year as a freshman. I think she is going to be the player that can come that would take them from dark horse to contender. I think she should be my X factor. If she can do that going into her sophomore year, I like it. I like it. This team has a possibility to do some scary things. That's why they're going to be my dark horse. Talk about the schedule here. They've got at Corbin, very good game early on, their third game of the season. They're going to be at Bushnell. They've got College of Idaho, another Cascade team. They also have Southern Oregon. This Southern Oregon crew is literally just running through the GSAC at this point. Their first conference game is going to be against La Sierra, and then they've got Ottawa. They've also got Grace College on here. They've got a good little, I think they have a medium level non-conference slate. Yes, Southern Oregon and College of Idaho, not calling them medium level. Those are some big hitters. But given the fact that the 2 teams we just talked about have 4 Cascade teams, including those 2, I'm going to give this Hope International team. Now, if you can go 1-1 with those 2 teams, not saying which and which, but 1-1, what hurts them, and it sucks to say this, but it's the name of the game. Both of those games are going to be at home. The reason I say it sucks is because if you could win it, and we've seen that not always be the best thing. It's definitely better to beat a ranked opponent on their home court because you're able to put that more into the resume. So with that being the case, I need those to be 1-1 games. You cannot drop both those games at home. It's going to be tough. I'm not saying it's not going to be tough, but I need 1-1, and I would like for that one loss to be a very close game. If you go 2-0 at home, you set yourself up to be a very, very good team. They're a dark horse for me. They could be the 3rd seed, but I'm still going to pick them as a dark horse. They are my dark horse team.
3rd seed?
It could be. They could be a 3rd seed. I see it. If they go 2-0, they could be a 3rd seed. Tell me that's not the case. They go 2-0 against the College of Idaho and Southern Oregon.
Who are you taking out of the top 3?
That's why I said could be. I didn't say they would be. I said could be because I don't even know that.
You're on the Kool-Aid, brother.
We're going to head over now to Benedict Mesa, the Red Hawks from Benedict Mesa. New team. They're going to be a new team. They're only returning 4 players off of what I saw from their roster from last year to this year. We're actually going to start with their schedule. I want to start with their schedule just because I think this is going to be a team that we talk about a little bit more than the stats actually talk about. When we look at their schedule, non-conference, nothing crazy. They do have Rocky Mountain. Rocky Mountain is here. It is going to be another home game for the GSAC crew. They've start their conference against Park Gilbert. This will be a really good test for them early on. And then they've got Embry-Riddle and then Arizona Christian. Very good 3 games to start the GSAC run. Lex, I know the people don't see it, but we have a whole bunch of stats here. We got players, all this kind of stuff.
A lot.
The fact that I'm telling you this team only has 4 returning players. Forget the players at the top. Give me a stat from the team stats category of our notes that you are putting an emphasis on with a brand new team that last year was kind of middle of the pack when we talk about the GSAC. And why?
Positive or?
Give me 1 and 1. Give me 1 and 1.
Positively, a stat that I would essentially point out is 21 turnovers forced. That's a big one. If they, given what they have and what they had, they can continue to force 21 or 20 plus turnovers, I think they have the ability to be set up for success as far as giving yourself opportunities to get fast breaks and create more of that offensive leap as a unit. But I would say the scariest thing is you're creeping closer to 20% than 30% as far as your 3-point shooting the team. And it's not even a very big difference. It's literally 0.1 point of a difference. And that's in this GSAC conference, it's not great.
I like that last point. That's my biggest thing. You're bringing in a bunch of new players. I would put my bottom dollar.
Oh, Lord.
That was the focus with this recruiting class. I think they went out, the coaching staff went out, and were able to find not better, but maybe, I guess better would be the word. Because I don't.
Efficient?
Maybe that's the better word I was looking for. Efficient 3-point shooting, because like you mentioned, 25% from the 3-point line, literally a percentage point from being 25 exactly. When we look at the GSAC, when we talk about stats last year, look at 3-point field goal percentage. The number 1 team in the conference, no surprise, Park Gilbert. They were 34.5. The Masters, 32.1. Arizona Christian, 28.8. Ottawa, 27.7. We're 4 deep, haven't gotten to Benedict Mesa yet. Then we got Life of Pacific. We haven't gotten to them yet. They're 26.6. Hope International, we still haven't gotten to Mesa yet. 26.3. Embry-Riddle, 26.2. And then you have Benedict Mesa, last in the conference last year. And we talk about 3-point field goal percentage. Look at where they ended up. 5th in the conference. 1 spot away from the postseason. If they can get that to middle of the pack, and the middle of the pack is pretty much 26, 27. So it's not like it's a big gap. They're not
it's
crazy.
It's not a crazy gap.
But you got to make the leap. I think if you can give me 26, close to 27, so 26.6 and up, this team probably makes the postseason or could have a very good case. And I can see on your face of being your dark horse. I can see on your face as we're talking about it. Is this team your dark horse because you're looking at the 3-point percentage and where they ended up last year?
I can't confidently say that without understanding what the recruiting class is looking like.
Fair. But would you agree that is their X factor? That is the biggest thing holding
100%. If they can continue to maintain their defensive presence with, from what I've seen, this is their biggest gap in turnovers that I've seen as far as opponents and self-developed turnovers as a unit. But if they can step into the consistent 3-point realm and force themselves into a conversation as one of the better 3-point shooting teams, I can confidently say, recruiting class aside, I can confidently say that they can be my dark horse. But because of that big factor, as in I don't know who they're bringing in, and I do know that they're losing a lot, they're not even at the table.
And I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. To harp on that 3-point percentage number, we talk about the percentages. I'm about to throw you the numbers. Again, this is from the GSAC website. The total number of threes made. Park Gilbert, number 1, 303. We knew that. The next teams. Arizona Christian, 193. Life Pacific, 186. Hope International, 178. The Masters, 178. Embry-Riddle, 66. Ottawa, 122. Obviously, didn't talk about Benedict Mesa. They barely crossed 100. 102. There were 23 pointers difference between them and the team above them, Ottawa. It's that simple. If this team gets the 3-point shooting down, again, you can still be last in makes, but do not be last in percentage. I need the percentage to be better. You can be last.
Shot selection.
It might come down to it. This might be the shot selection conference. That's not the name I went with, but it might be. It might be when we talk about it later in the episode. But this Benedict Mesa team could be the biggest cone of uncertainty team. They get the 3-point percentage down, we could be talking about a real contender in the postseason. If they don't, we could be talking about maybe similar season. 5th seed, could have made it, should have made it. What if this happens? What if that happens? But I think that they're gone away from that. I think the Red Hawks are going to be a team that we really got to keep an eye on when the GSAC comes this season. Ottawa, the Spirit. Could this be the highest upside team? I'm very curious. Very curious. And the reason I say that is because now they do not have their schedule out just yet. But 2023-2024, they went 8-14, 0-14 in the conference. Significant improvement from 24 to 25. That's why I feel like they could be the highest upside team, because they could continue that trajectory. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be a 21 team this year. I'm not saying all that. But if you continue in that trajectory, you're going to get close to it. You're going to be able to make some noise in here. Talk to me about this team and what they're returning. Because, again, we haven't gotten to your dark horse yet, and we're 6, 7, 8, 9 pretty soon. So talk to me a little bit about this Spirit team.
Spirit team might just be it. Just maybe. And I'll tell you why. Returning, you have Brianna Humphreys, 14, 8, 3 assists. Also considering 3 steals, 2 blocks, 50% from the field, standing at 6'1". Taller than you, brother. Tiana Sledge. We're going to round up to 12 points. 7 boards, 2 steals. Basically 50% from the field. Both coming in as seniors. And then you have junior front runner Charlie Cook. 5 points, 3 boards. With what you're returning, comparing that to what you're losing as well, their upside makes up for the absence that they're going to have to experience this season. I personally, you know what? If I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, it's because of that. I personally think that their upside between Humphreys, Sledge, and Cook can make up for Angel Adelman, Michaela Holshaus, and Sierra Kaiser, personally. And this is my dark horse now that I'm looking at it, and now that I can a little more confidently say, because among the other 6 teams that we're going to talk about, I feel like comfortably the only thing that they do need to improve on is offense. I think if they take an offensive leap, which they definitely do predict, I see Humphreys having a all-conference, nearing All-American, depending on how big the jump is. Same for Tiana Sledge. I want to see an honorable mention, possibly an all-conference of sorts type of year. And they're already pushing 70 as a group. I like the 40% as a group. I think that's very efficient. It's kind of where you want to be at. Rebounding, stellar. They need to be more efficient from the 3. And like we spoke about not too long ago, it could just be shot selection because from what we know, from what we're bringing back, outside of the 3-point line, they're pretty efficient. So it really can just be shot selection. They're probably waiting till the end of the shot clock, or they're probably, chucking some stuff up under pressure. It could be the inexperience card, which we already used, but I feel like the only downside to this team is their 3-point. They improved that. They're creeping closer to 3 than Hope is.
That's a big statement. That's a big one. The fact that you're saying offensive improvement when this team almost had 70 and was shooting 40% sounds crazy. But when you look at the numbers and you see they were under 30 significantly from three-pointer, it makes more sense. We go back to the stats here. The next 2 teams we're going to talk about. So Benedict Mesa being the first one, Ottawa being the second, and then Embry-Riddle, who we're going to get to next, being the third. Those 3 teams were all last in the conference in three-pointers made. Embry-Riddle at 106, Ottawa at 122, and Benedict Mesa at 102, like we talked about. And then opponents' 3-point field goal percentage, I think we have to talk about too. Those are the last 3 teams as well. Ottawa was giving up 29% or so from the 3-point line. Benedict Mesa was giving up about 3. Organize this for a second. About 302, and then we talked about Embry-Riddle about 31. So those are the 3 teams that were giving up the best percentages, so to speak, for opponents in the conference. If they can, I'll talk about the 3-point percentage from the other side. You talk about the offense, and I completely agree with you. I see where you're coming from, and I like it. I like the point because, like you said, 70 points per game is now in play if you're able to talk about the 3-point percentage being a lot better. Honestly, you could talk about, when we talk about points per game last year, the number 1 team in the conference was Gilbert at 79. And what was their trademark? 3-point shooting. They were the best 3-point shooting team in the conference. So there's a correlation there, especially when we talk about the GSAC. I'm going to talk about the opponents. If you can get better from a 3-pointer, but keep your opponents being closer to 20 than 30, we're going to be in a golden situation. And I could even get behind Ottawa being a dark horse. I'm still going Hope International. I do think making 2
I've convinced you.
You're convincing me, though. You can hear by the sound of my voice that you are convincing me, and they go off of what you said. The 2 seats at the table, I got Hope International first up to eat the buffet, and I've got Ottawa number 2. I do like what you kind of pointed out here, and I'm with it. This team,
Ottawa's eating the buffet. Hope is still in line for the buffet.
That's his personal opinion.
That's my table.
We have 2 different buffets. It's completely fine. But the GSAC, as you can see, it is a very loaded conference. And when we talk about Brianna Humphreys, I do want to talk about the fact that, according to the stats, again, going off of what I saw, she did not finish the season. She played 16 games. She's able to put in a whole season. I do think, like you mentioned, all conference and player of the year is in question here. Maybe even a better year for the team. We talk about Tiana Sledge, 6 double-doubles, 22 double-figure scoring games. Very important for her to get closer to 15 points per game, I think. And then you've got Charlie Cook, a double-double with 5 double-figure scoring games. All 3 have the ability to improve, and all 3 I feel like will improve. Lex, you definitely made a good case there and good pick for your dark horse team. We're going to keep talking about it, though. Embry-Riddle, the Eagles. This is a transition year for them. I've heard a lot. This could be a transition year. You're only returning 6 players. You've got 6 newcomers. Now, not a big number, but what you're losing is a little bit of a significant amount. You're losing the Kiara King, Ella Scott, and then Megan Strickler. Their roster is up from what I saw. Kate McBride, and I'll let Lex talk about her. She is confirmed to be coming back as part of the 6 returners. You're losing King, Scott, and Strickler. 11 for King, 8 for Scott, 6 for Strickler. You've got a combined about 12 rebounds between the 3 of them. A majority of them shooting above 35% from the field. This transition year is going to be good or bad. I don't know, and that's why they might be the most unpredictable team, because they could have a good year. They could hit the ground 100%. Running. But at the same time, you were already talking about a team that was negative in points per game because you were scoring 62, but you're giving up 64. You were losing the field goal percentage battle. You were losing the 3-point percentage battle. You're winning the rebounds by 5, and you basically were even in turnovers. So there's so much just I don't know about this team that they're my question team for this conference. They're my question team. I don't know what to call this. I don't know what we're going to talk about with this. But is there a better way to put it than that? This team it's literally 50-50 either way.
I agree. I feel like this team can either take the year to comfortably sit at the bottom of the conference, regather who they have, and rebuild, or they can sneak into top 5, depending on who they do, bring in and how they improve their stats as a unit. But I do not see a reality where they are 7 again. It's either 8 or 9, either 9 or 5 or 6, realistically.
I think where they are is actually literally perfect to what season they had last year. You were in the middle. We're talking about teams that didn't make the postseason. You had 2 above you, you had 2 below you. You are literally in the middle. Again, we're talking about La Sierra being a 9, so that's why I'm saying that. You're literally in the middle. Next year, I don't think they'll be in the middle. You're right. They'll be either a little higher or a little lower. But I do think they had a very just, middle season. How they improve is the question. They do have their schedule up. Granted, if we're going to go off the schedule, they clearly got some hitters coming in. Because you've got Corbin at Corbin, your second game of the season. You've got Eastern Oregon.
Crazy.
It looks like it's going to be on the road. So you're at Eastern Oregon. Then you've got at Life, not a bad team at all. You've got True McConnell, very scrappy team. And then you start your GSAC run with Arizona Christian, which will be at home. And then you've got College of Idaho. And if I'm reading this correctly, you've got Eastern Oregon again, possibly. So you've got 1, 2, 3 Cascade teams. I'm counting Eastern Oregon twice. Yes, I am. Corbin was a very solid team. I think maybe underrated in some degrees. True McConnell, scrappy team. They could be one of those teams that mess up a lot of these top teams when we talk about that point of the year. Life, same thing. Their non-conference slate is stacked. Their non-conference run is primed to be just like those other teams. Like, the fact that they were able to get this schedule lets me know that it lets me know what we're saying is true. Either they're about to have a really, really good year and go up, or, like you mentioned, they're developing, they're retooling for next year. That's what that's telling me. Because sometimes you go out and get these tough games, not because you feel like they're going to win, but because you need to prepare the next group, the next year, to be ready for when you do this again next year. So I'm very excited to see this. This is my question team. It's an unknown team that they're very middle of the pack, but I think I say that with the hope that it's going to go up, but the possibility that it does go the other way, just for a single season, of course. Life Pacific, the Warriors. This team it's got an opportunity in front of them for me. For me, I feel like they have a very good opportunity in front of them. They are returning a very good amount. We each gave up our dark horse teams. I talked about who's first in the buffet and eating. That is Hope. Who is next in line? It's Ottawa. Who's at the door of the buffet about to get in? It's Life Pacific. Those are my 3 teams that I just struggled with when I talked about dark horse. Life Pacific, you're returning Rachel Spinoza, confirmed. Their roster is up. Yasbo Buneta, Adriana Torres, Riley Roy, Chloe Zazute, and Faith Harris. That's a rotation right there. In my opinion, that's a rotation right there. You've got a grad student, a freshman, 3 freshmen actually, a sophomore, and a junior. You've got everything covered. I think this team has exactly what they need to do. They have exactly what they need to do what they can do, which is, I'm not going to go out and say postseason. I'm not going to say that. But they should be close. Give me a 6 to 5 range. I think they can make a significant leap next year. I'm very high on this team. I think you're led by Rachel Spinoza, who, again, according to the stats, did not play more than 6 games last year. And in those 6 games, she had 13, 6, 35% from the field, 30% from the 3-point line. You've got the freshmen of Yasbo, Adriana, and Riley combined 20 and 8 on about 30% from the field, a little bit over that. And then Chloe and Faith, 5 for Chloe. You had 30% from the field for Faith on averaging 3 attempts from a 3-point line in only 18 games played. I feel like they maybe got hit with some unseen events throughout the year. Again, don't know what those are. I'm not going to sit here and speculate. We're going off the stats, and the stats are most of the players that are coming back did not finish the year last year. So it makes me very excited for them to be here and have a full run. What do you say about this Warriors team?
I like it. I think that...
Are they at the door too? Are they about to get in the buffet?
I think they are, in terms of the buffet, I still have OU feasting right now. They're, walking with seconds across the buffet. I have Life waiting in line right next to the buffet station waiting to get permission to entry. And I have Life holding the plate right behind Hope's back.
So you got the same order, but Life's in the room now. You're telling me Life's in the room. Mine's still at the door, but Life's in the room.
Life is in the room. Life has a lot more opportunity though. Life needs to make a very strong offensive jump. 55 is not gonna cut it, and they didn't even touch 55. But circumstances, life. We are not speculating on anything that could have happened, but I think that they need just a statistical lead on all fronts. I think to be able to jump to that high of a seed, they need to be able to fight statistically in that range. I think they need to be touching 65 to 70 when it comes to points. I think they need to be touching 35 when it comes to field goal percentage. I think they need to be over 30 minimum as far as 3-point percentage. Over 40, I would want rebounds-wise, and they need to stretch out that turnover margin and decrease their own, first and foremost. But if they can do that, then I 100% give them not 5 and 6, maybe 6 and 7.
I can get behind 6 and 7 as well. And looking at their schedule, you can tell a lot. We do it obviously, but you can tell a lot from a team schedule because, like we talked about previously with Embry-Riddle, you have a very good test. You don't, for us from the outside looking in, we don't know what they're going to have, so it could tell you're preparing for the future. It could tell like we're ready, we want to get tested. You never know. From what Life's schedule tells me, it's telling me that they want to get everything together and have a solid foundation before the GSAC conference run of their schedule. Why I say that? They have, and we're going to count here, from October 29th, their first game. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 possible games. They start their season on October 29th. Their first conference game is going to be December 4th. Against La Sierra, then they've got the Masters, and then they are going to get Hope International. Before they get to Hope, they've got a few more non-conference games as well. So the amount of non-conference games, none of which are really standing out to me right now, tells me that you're going to try and make this team into what you see it being when we get in the conference. You want to have a lot of non-conference games under your belt. You want to have a lot of time under your belt. You want to probably get tested with some of these games that maybe you're not expecting to get tested in, to have the continuity, because again, like we mentioned, 6 games for Rachel. You only had about 18 for Faith. Like, you have some games for some key players that you're going to be leaning on throughout the year that didn't play that much last year. And then you still have to develop year 2 now for the freshmen and so on for the upperclassmen. They're not going to be upperclassmen. So this team is giving me a possibility, again, big opportunity. Then they have a big opportunity in front of them. Not saying they're going to make a postseason leap. I'm not calling that. But I am saying that they're going to be on the top side of the conference. We're talking about, like you said, 7, 6. I think they'd even go up to as high as to 5. And I think that's a realistic and honestly achievable.
My problem with you saying this stuff, like they're going to reach up to 5, who do you have not being there?
So I'll say this. The reason I got 5 is because I'm looking at Embry-Riddle unknown. So they could go up or down. So let's say they go down. Now that puts Life at 7. Cool. I think Ottawa could go to 5. More realistically, I would bet on Ottawa than I would bet for Life. And then that puts Life at 6. At the same time, are we sitting here and saying that Ottawa is going to be anything crazy? No. And I do think Benedict Mesa has the biggest question mark, so I think they could drop down to a 7. So that's why.
You think Hope is staying at 4?
I think Hope could stay at 4. But at the same time, I get what you're saying. Maybe Ottawa gets the 4, and But you see, that's where my head is at. I think there's a lot of question marks above them. There are less question marks above them for specific teams than Life has. Like Life has some question marks. It's just a matter of how does it look altogether, and it's going to be a little bit of some growing pains. But because of the questions ahead of them for a Benedict Mesa, for an Embry-Riddle, for a Ottawa, granted it's more so Benedict than Embry-Riddle. I think 6 is realistic for Life. I think in a best case scenario, 5 is a great season for me. I think I got him, guys. I think I got him. He seems like, okay, I'm a little more understanding now. But we're going to head on over now to our last team. The first team, well, the new team, I should say, for the GSAC. Give a round of applause to them for joining this nice and ever-growing conference from the CalPAC, which we will also be doing next week. When you guys are seeing this, that'll be next Friday. Will be the CalPAC. This is the GSAC and I don't think we said at the beginning of the episode, so I'll say it now. This is the Southern States. Southern States will be on the back end. I don't remember saying that, so I'll say it now. But La Sierra, their schedule is out again. First year for them coming from the CalPAC. The Golden Eagles team actually played a few GSAC teams last year. They went 1-3 though against the GSAC. They lost to Hope, they lost to the Masters, and they lost to Park Gilbert. The only team they beat was Life Pacific. So take with that what you will. I mean, you played 3 of the best teams in the conference, in my opinion. I mean, all 3 made the postseason, so you can't really judge too much about that. But then you were able to beat a team that did not make it in the postseason, so maybe it's not going to be a bad year. I don't think they're going to have a horrible season in the GSAC. I do kind of question a few things like how will it translate, stuff like that. For me, Brianna Martinez, Amaya Sanchez, 10 for Martinez, 5.4 for Sanchez. I would like to see Sanchez get a little closer to 10. I think Martinez can improve overall. I don't necessarily know if that's points per game. Maybe it should be percentage. I think she could get maybe 35 instead of 32. So they're a pretty normal new team into a conference. I like them.
I agree.
There's some good. There's some things we got to clean up on. And I know you'll talk about what you got to clean up on. I'm not, for Embry-Riddle, I didn't know what to call them because there's just a lot of sways. For La Sierra, I don't know what to call them because it's their first year in the GSAC, and I can't really give too much on what they could do. I just feel like they're going to have a very solid year. I think they'll have a solid year. I think they'll have a good year. They could finish 9th. I think that's a realistic thing. And I mean, spoiler alert, but I'm pretty sure you and I have them in our break right tiers just because it is their first year. I could be wrong.
You're wrong.
Oh, I'm wrong. Lord, thank God that I'm wrong. I have some nice debate there. But for me, they are my 9th seed just because, again, don't know what it's going to be like. Don't know what the first year for the GSAC will look for them. But that's not saying they can't have a good year. Talk to the people, though, what they need to clean up a little bit if they want to have a good year in the GSAC.
I think if they were to completely replicate the year that they had last year in the CalPAC, they're maybe pushing 7.
Give me a reason why.
I think statistically, if we're just going based off the stats here, because we haven't watched the game yet, I think they have a very decent gap starting off going to the GSAC at least between their opponent's points and their own points per game. I think that they do need to harp a little more on their turnovers and their 3-point percentage, obviously. But they're killing the rebound game. And as far as field goals, they are producing more than they do allow. So there is an upside. And if they keep the same recipe with who they are bringing back in, offensively, they are already promoting more than the bottom 2 or 3 teams.
That is a good point.
They're promoting more than Life. They're providing a little more than Embry-Riddle. And if we're going based off of the rankings last year, they're right underneath OU.
It's a good point. I like that point.
Statistically, if they were to go completely verbatim based off of what they did last year, they're creeping 6, they're touching 7.
That's a good point that I'm glad you brought up. Before we get into their schedule, I do want to go back to those 4 games I talked about from the GSAC, just an overarching view. So they put up 54 against Park, 46 against Life, then they put up 59, and then they put up 52. So you're touching 50 minimum You could be even closer to 60, like you mentioned, with these GSAC teams. Now, on the flip side, you gave up 75 to Park. You gave up 45 to Life Pacific. Then you gave up 69 to the Masters, and you gave up 69 to Hope. Not the best, but
not the best.
What we always say, if you're giving up, if you're an offensive team that is putting up between 65 to 72, 71, you're a average to good team in that department. If you're the flip side of that, if you're on the defensive side, I think you're an average to good defense, depending on where you fall, obviously, in that tier. So you're, from what we talked about the GSAC, against the GSAC, I should say, this La Sierra team was pretty good. Pretty, like you said, pretty on par. So I like the points you made. I think there is a world where they could touch 7. They could sneak into 6. But I do think 6, to me, is the ceiling. If they get to 6, anything above, I think they had a great first year in the GSAC, and you couldn't ask for better.
100%.
And that will do it for the GSAC. The GSAC is their schedule. My bad. La Sierra, your schedule, very solid. Another team that has College of Idaho on here. Again, College of Idaho is going to be a very good benchmark for a lot of these teams. We're going to be looking at College of Idaho as being the stick for sure. Looking at this, aside from College of Idaho, they don't have too many big names off rip. So, I mean, that's your only. If you win that one, it helps like crazy. If you lose that one, I don't think it really hurts you too much. But I'm talking about the GSAC. Your first 3 games, your inaugural runs through the GSAC. Hope International at home, Life Pacific on the road, the Masters at home. What record do they have to have for you to say La Sierra is going to have a very good first year in the GSAC? Very good meaning, like we said, best case scenario, 6 or above. Just those 3
Closer to 3 than they are to 1. I think they need 2. I think if they take 2,
if you take 2,
I think the only game that they would not be able to take confidently is the Masters. Everything else, I see them taking.
I can see that because then after that you've got Ottawa, Benedict Mesa before you got to take Park Gilbert. So I think there's a world where you could start a pretty good record in the GSAC. I do think this conference, and like I said, this is the last thing we're gonna touch on, goes into number 3. Question 3 for the GSAC was, how much of a gap is there between the 4 teams that made the playoffs and then the 5 teams who did not, again, counting La Sierra in it? We're going to talk about the name. We're going to talk about the name of the GSAC here. So you say that the gap is pretty big. I'm going to say the gap is only big from 4 to 9. But if we were to go individually, I think the gaps are closer. If you get
for sure. If you go 1 through 4, they have their own bracket. 5 through 9, they're their own bracket. When you look at 5 through 9, the gaps aren't that big.
And I think the gaps between 4 to 5, 5 to 6, I think they're not that big. I think you can talk a little bit closer to that. I think the gap starts to get a little bit bigger when we're talking about 6 and 7. I think that's around where 7. I think 7 is where I was more so, okay, there's a little bit of a gap between that.
And if you insert La Sierra, I don't think the gap is that big. I think
exactly. That's a good point. If you put La Sierra where we say, again, statistically they could have ended up, you're 100% correct on that one. When we talk about the name for this conference, again, there's a lot of ways you could have ran with this. We could have gave this one the 3-point conference because you can see these are a bunch of 3-point shooting teams overall. I don't think it fits accordingly because even though the top is 3-point dominated, I don't necessarily think a lot of these teams need to replicate that. I don't think they need to be, very. I don't think they need to be what Park Gilbert or what Masters or what Arizona Christian are to be competitive. In the Cascade, when we gave them the make or miss conference, everybody was shooting above 35, close to 40%. So I felt like a good name to give them. What name are you giving the GSAC this year?
I like the shot selection conference, honestly.
Go ahead.
I definitely believe that there's two things that point out success when it comes to the GSAC right now. There's 3-point shooting, the Masters, the Park Gilberts, the Arizona Christians at the conference. But there's also shot selection. And if we go down the list, we can see Park Gilbert's success comes from their 3-point shooting. The Masters' success comes from their shot selection. Arizona Christian's success, more so their shot selection. And everybody else is only where they're at because one of the two is fluctuating a little more than everybody else in the conference. If everybody were to shoot as efficient as the top 3 teams, you're looking at a conference that can go game by game situation realistically. Because if you're shooting just as consistent as Masters team, for example, 42 from field, 32 from 3, if you put those stats on every team in this conference, you're looking at a situation where you can have a Hope sneak into a 3. You can have an Ottawa sneak into a 4. You can have an Embry-Riddle sneak into a 5. You have the ability to really determine how the conference ends based off of a shot, realistically, based off of a possession.
I think you may have hit the nail on the head. I was going to go with wide open conference because I do think this is a conference that can, whatever you talk about, whether it's what teams are going to win, it's pretty wide open. You can talk about maybe three or two, depending on who you like. Talk about teams that are going to make the postseason. You can talk about a good amount. You can talk about teams making a deep run. You can talk about a good amount. So I do think that. But I like yours because I think it's more about the play style of the GSAC because
100%.
You said Park Gilbert, 3-point shooting team. They've never seen a shot they don't like. But I think the middle of the pack, when we talk about Benedict, OU, and Embry-Riddle, they hit what you talked about because all 3 of these teams were the bottom 3 in 3-point percentage. All 3 of these teams almost touched 70 points per game. So clearly not a bad offense because if you're almost touching 70, 68 for Benedict Mesa, shooting 25% from the 3-point line. 69 for OU, shooting 27% from the 3-point line. Yes, Embry-Riddle was at 62, but still, you were shooting 26% from the 3-point line. And back to your point, the 2 teams I talked about first, 40% each from the field. Embry-Riddle, 34% from the field. So you see the continuity of the shot selection aspect. I like it. We're going to rock with it. The GSAC, you have been given the name of shot selection. As a matter of fact, the G and the S now determine good shot selection, great shot selection. That is the athletic conference that we're talking about right now. Because basketball is a copycat league. We all know this. It's all parts of basketball, no matter what level you're talking about. But I'm also a believer that you have to play to your strengths. If you are not a 3-point shooting team, you can't jack up threes like Park Gilbert is at 300 and plus. You can't do it. But you can still be efficient by doing other things. Maybe you're a better rebounding team than them. Maybe you're a better mid-range shooting team in the conference. Maybe you're good in the open court. Maybe you're good at defense. Whatever the case may be. But we've got 3 teams here. 2 teams I think are the perfect embodiment of that with Benedict Mesa and OU that aren't 3-point shooting demons like that, but they still put almost 70 points per game up. They still were touching that. So we got to have a better shot selection from the GSAC as a whole. And if they do that, anybody does that, this could be a year where you could get a good little surprise from some of these teams. Lex, I think that might have been the best name you've come up with yet. You cook with that one, brother. I'm going to give you the props.
I still think the Jungle's top tier.
Well, the Jungle's just great because of just like the name. Like that's a fire name. This is a fire name. But the shot selection conference, I like it. I'm with it. Let's rock with it. So that's going to do it for our overarching conference preview for the GSAC. We'll get into our way too early tiers. Best part of the episodes for me. We'll have a lot of fun with these. Contenders, playoff locks, at the door, break right. For those who are first coming on, I'm probably going to make a graphic of this so I can just put it up so you guys can read it. But contenders are teams we feel can win either the regular season or the conference tournament titles. Playoff locks are teams we feel will make the playoffs. You can pen it in. At the door, you can Sharpie the playoff locks. At the doors, that's a pen. And it could not. We don't know. We're kind of up in the air about those teams. And then break rights are teams we feel like everything needs to go your way for you to have a postseason berth in your future.
Best way to explain it: contenders are tattoos, playoff blocks, Sharpies, at the doors, erasable pen,
Okay.
breakthrough, pencils with no lead.
Again, he's cooking, y'all. He's cooking right now. I like it. We might have to again graphic that. We'll start at the bottom like we always do. Break right. I went La Sierra. Again, simply because it's their first year and I need you did kind of sway me a little bit with the numbers of like, yeah, that is true if they were doing statistically what they did in the Cal Pac. The only reason I'm not gonna fully change is because the Cal Pac is different from the GSAC. So I kinda wanna see how that correlates a little bit. So that's why I have them at 9. Who do you have at 9?
Embry-Riddle.
So I had Embry-Riddle at 8. Again, I think we both know why. I think they're a team that can go up or down, but for the sake of this episode, I think that they are going to be sitting comfortably in the break right team. Who's your 8 then?
Benedict and Mesa.
Wow, this man really stirring up the pot. You put Benedict Mesa as break right? Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Mesa was, they were hard for me to put. They're hard for me to put somewhere. Talk to me why you went with that one, though.
Everybody else just has a bigger upside, in my opinion. I believe that for this Benedict and Mesa team to actually be successful, there's a lot, like I spoke about, that has to happen. Recruiting class has to be top tier. They have to be able to mesh well for that aspect as well. They have to be able to make a bigger gap within their statistics as far as offense, defense, field goal percentage. I wouldn't say they have to shoot the 3 better. They have to shoot the ball better entirely. And it's just a lot of questions as far as whether they do that this year or next year. But going into this season, they're number 8 for me.
I understand. You may get some heat for that one, but hey, that's what we're here for. So again, bulletin board material is what we do. That's our job titles, honestly. Number 7, your first at the door team. Again, teams we feel could make the postseason, could just miss it. I'm going with Life Pacific at 7. Who do you have at your 7?
Last year.
I'm not mad at it. I could see it. Again, I statistically, like you said, they could have been in that area. Anyways, I like Life. I think their opportunity, like I mentioned, will get them closer to a postseason berth. We'll talk about it at the end, but just so you can prepare, I want you to explain to me if you feel like the 5, 6, and 7 teams could all be interchangeable once we get there and once we reveal who all our 3 teams are in at the door. Number 6, I went Benedict Mesa here. Same reasons you told me, but I'm just higher on them getting those things situated and not having too much of a setback this year. Who's your number 6?
Life.
I love the Life pick there. I love it. I'm here for it. Number 5. This is when I started really having to rack my brain, dog. I was really like, do I want to put? You go first. Then you comfortable? Go for it.
I'm pretty comfortable with Hope.
Oh, see, I went OU here. I was like, this team might not. This is the year. This is the team that I was like, please, but no, maybe, but yes. I kept coming back to them. I really did. I think. Now I will say 5 and 4 for me are interchangeable. So it could be a situation of that. So I'm not too upset about the picks. Do you think 5, 6, and 7 are interchangeable though? For you and like just in general, do you think these teams? Because I do think they are interchangeable. Do you feel the same way? Could you see in your case Life going 5 and then Hope going 7 because whatever reason?
I think that for me it's interchangeable until I reach 7. I think last year is kind of the 7 lock for me at the moment.
I can see
that. But they do have potential of reaching that point where it can be interchangeable. But for now, I want to say 5 and 6 definitely are. 7 is a potential.
Playoff locks. What do you say? The pens? No, Sharpies. The Sharpie group.
Sharpies.
Number 4, going Hope International.
Whoa.
Again, you and I are very high on these 2 teams. We think they could have really, really good years with playoff bursts and long runs in the playoff. We also feel like they could just miss out on the postseason. So I'm not surprised. I think we've talked about those 2 teams enough, so we understand what we're talking about there. 3, and then our first contender.
This is where I will personally get a lot of backlash for it. I'm ready for it.
I'm gonna guess what you're gonna go with. I feel you went Park Gilbert is your contender, and you went Arizona Christian as your playoff lock. I knew it because I did the opposite, but I was close to doing what you did. I went with Park Gilbert first. I went with Arizona Christian in that contender spot. But you know what, dog? You and I are in this together, and I'm not gonna let you get out all that heat by yourself. So I'm going with you. Park Gilbert, I will be my first contender, number 2 seed. I feel like they could really do it. It's the year that they have to break through that glass ceiling. Arizona Christian, similar to like a Benedict Mesa. Don't really know what's coming in yet. We don't think you're going to miss the postseason or anything like that. We
Not at
think
all.
you have a good enough foundation to do that, but we think Park Gilbert has more continuity. We know more about them. That's a lot of times what it comes down to. So we're going to go Park Gilbert, first contender. Benedict Mesa is your last playoff lock, which of course means, and I think we're no surprise to anybody, we're both going with the Masters, the Mustangs from the Masters University to be the team to beat. They are the team to beat, and I don't think it's anything crazy to say that.
100%.
Is there a changeable? Now, when I say 2 through 5, is that interchangeable for you?
Yes.
It is for me too. Why is it for you?
2 through 6.
You throw 6 in there? All right. Well, what about it screams interchangeable, though?
Like I said, shot selection. If a team can come into the GSAC shooting better shots and more efficiently than they were the season before, and they catch somebody slipping,
Slipping is a word.
that's it. Because Park Gilbert, and I'll be completely honest, they have all these pieces. Do we know if it's going to mesh? Nobody knows. Do we know that with all of these heavy heads coming in, the shot selection is going to increase? The efficiency is going to increase. Nobody knows. But statistically, it looks good on paper, and we can't deny that fact. But I will also say that as a group, for them to already be pushing 28, 29 3-point wise, that's just the biggest example right now that I can point on. But this shot selection is definitely going to affect this group in particular. And I was about to be very messy and just make 3 contenders and put Arizona Christian up there because
It's close. It's very close.
it's very close. But I feel like 1 through 6, it all depends on their shot selection as a group and their efficiency. Arizona Christian was at the top because they had what it takes to be efficient without having to rely on the 3 so much. And Coach of the Year, Rusty Rogers, knows that, which is why I can't discredit him too much, and which is why he was about to ruin all of our brackets. But for keeping the peace, I went with what I went because of that factor. The only thing that will cause everything to change from 1 through 6 is shot selection and making it at an efficient rate.
And that's why whenever we do these tiers, we always, like you and I, we stick with the numbers. But once we divvy up the numbers, we stick with it because that's where the debate and that's where the hard, it's like, damn, I really like them, but we're not going to have 6 people in playoff locks and then just 2. And like, no, we're not going to do that. That's not the point of this. But that will do it for the GSAC preview. Get ready for the Southern States. I think it's going to be a really good preview. I know it's going to be a really good preview. This conference is due for something special for sure. But we appreciate you guys. Hopefully we catch you on the flip side. If we don't, we understand. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you follow us on all our socials. We hope to see you in the Southern States. If we don't, we'll see you in the next one. Peace out. And we are back now for part 2 of episode 8. Yes, episode 8. The continuation for the Southern States and the GSAC conference previews. We just did the GSAC. Now we're going to do the Southern States. Lex, I'm not going to lie to you. This conference really had me baffled. It had me baffled. It may be the most baffling conference, not from a standpoint of I don't know what to expect from this conference. It's more so the teams in it. I think you can make a case for any single one. And I know we've said that a few times, but this might be the conference of just baffled. It might be the conference of unpredictability. It might be the conference of parity, whatever you want to call it. But this conference legitimately has a plethora of teams that have a legit case for some reason, whether it's a lot of talent, whether it's a new year, whether it's a great team, whatever the case may be. Tell the people at home what you felt from the conference, your Darlex thoughts. Again, we're bringing it back. We technically really haven't done it in a few episodes, but I think we're gonna start bringing it back here. But what exactly were your initial thoughts when you were looking at the Southern States and just looking over the teams, the stats, and all that kind of stuff?
This conference is the definition of a game-by-game situation. Looking across the board, 11, 12 teams, I saw that there's a lot of fluctuation when it comes to their stats. And we'll kind of deep dive into it more once we get into particular teams. But the regular season champions, the conference champions, possibly even the national tournament placement, all of that could have been drawn by Strauss, realistically. And that goes to show how tough the SSAC really is. And there's a lot changing this conference for sure. And
I think
I'm curious to see what your takes are, genuinely.
I think this team, this conference, it's best summed up in the fact that, because when I was going through it, and I was looking at last year's schedules and who teams played against, all that kind of stuff. The number one team in the conference last year, William Carey, they didn't play any ranked opponents. Like, they didn't play any teams, again, off of what the schedule that they had on their website. No one ranked opponents. They had played some good teams, but no one ranked. Looked at Loyola. They didn't really have any ranked opponents as well. But you had 1, 2, 3 teams make the national tournament. All 3 of those teams did not play ranked opponents. It more so goes to the fact of what you have in the Southern States. Because it's hard sometimes in some of these conferences where you may have 1 or 2 ranked opponents in the conference, but then the rest of the conference maybe isn't on that same tier. And now we talk about now you get why a lot of these conferences don't get multiple at-large bids. The Southern States had technically 4 teams make the national tournament last year. You had William Carey, you had Loyola, you had Mobile, and then you had the conference tournament champions in Blue Mountain Christian. This conference really surprised me with how much it did without having a quote-unquote resume that you may think of when you talk about the fact that, yes, this conference had 10 teams. And I think we never really talked about it before, but I think it's a good point to say now. If you have 10 plus teams in a conference, you get 2 automatic bids. So typically it's going to be your regular season champion, William Carey, and your tournament champion, Blue Mountain Christian. And then you'll get however many at-large bids. The team got 2 at-large bids, or the conference got 2 at-large bids. Granted, they were the 2 and the 3 seed, but still, I think the fact that the Southern States had 4, I think goes to show how deep it really is and how much it can fluctuate, like you said. Well, we're gonna go over to the graphics now. Again, the standings from last year: William Carey, Loyola, University of Mobile, UT Southern, Brewton-Parker, Life, Faulkner, and Blue Mountain Christian, as well as Point and Thomas, all rounded out the postseason with play-ins as part of their conference tournament run. Then Middle Georgia and ABAC, you see there at the bottom, Middle Georgia will not be competing in the Southern States this year, so the conference has dropped down to 11. I'm curious to see if that's going to change the playoff format. I doubt it, but you never know. And like you said, Blue Mountain Christian, they were your conference tournament champions. William Carey was the regular season champion, and they were also national teams as well. Then we go over to recap from last year from in sense of all conference and postseason awards. Congratulations to everybody who got a first team, second team, all freshmen, postseason awards, all that good stuff. Champion of a character team as well. And again, congratulations to regular season champions William Carey and Blue Mountain Christian. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was making these questions, Lex, some of them were gonna be a little general because I just could not find a unique thing to talk about. So what we're gonna do is 1 through 4. How much of a separation do you see going into next year? who's the dark horse contender to win the conference, and then who's a dark horse contender to make a deep playoff run, and we'll elaborate a little bit more on that. Our way too early tiers, I did go over by one, so it's going to be 3 contenders, 2 playoff locks, 4 at the door, and then 1 break right. That's how we're going to break it up when that time comes. We're going to focus on the first 4. The first 4 are the teams that we're going to talk about: William Carey, Loyola, Mobile, and UT Southern. Start with William Carey. First things first. Congratulations, new coach, Jessica Gargia. She's the 5th coach in the program's history. She has or was an assistant coach on the staff for the past 10 years. She's now taking over. So I have it here. Business as usual. Business as usual. Their roster is up. They're returning pretty much everybody we expected them to return. They are losing the 2 players that we expected them to lose that are going to be a little bit of a hit for sure. But last year, the Lady Crusaders, most wins in program history with 26. They were number 3 in the tournament. They lost in the second round of the tournament. They went undefeated in the conference. Again, they get the automatic bid with winning the regular season title. This team was legit. This team was really good. This team was impressive. Talk to me about what they're bringing back, because I do think they're bringing back a good amount. I think it's a legitimate case for them to be in the number 1 seed again, to be the favorites going into it. But let me know what you feel for this returning group this year.
Returning first and foremost, you're bringing a first-team all-conference member in Chanel Corpus, 15 points, 9 boards, basically a double-double with a very efficient 45% from the field. You're also bringing back Aaliyah Sutton, 7.5 points, 4 boards, 3 assists. Madeline Ladner, 7 points, 4 boards, 51% from the field. And all-freshman team member Addison Shearer with 4 points, 35% from the field, and 32 from 3. You're bringing back a pretty solid core, honestly. And for this William Carey team, you do need that front-loaded core with new coach Jessica stepping into the reins. Business as usual for sure, but the pressure is different, stepping to a new position, and to be able to make that as seamless as possible. A front-loading core who you can rely on will be the best bet. And they have that.
I like this group. I think it's the perfect returning group for Coach Jessica in her first year. Again, business as usual might be the best model to describe this team. It's a group that knows who Coach Jessica is. Granted, when you make that step over to the next chair, and that first chair on the sideline, it's a little bit different, a lot different role, all that kind of stuff. But from a team aspect, from a scheme perspective, I'm sure there's not going to be too much of a change. Might be a tweak here or there. Might be some nuanced things that are going to be added in, but nothing crazy. And the 4 players that we just mentioned, we've got 2 juniors in Chanel and Leah. You've got a senior in Madeline, and then obviously you have a sophomore going in for Addison. But you've got 3 upperclassmen now who are going to be stepping in, and I'm assuming Coach Jessica will be leaning on heavily to be the leaders in the locker room, to be able to help, especially for the transfers and the new players that are coming in. For me, I'm looking at Chanel. I think I need a player of the year type of season. I really do. The reason I say that is because they're going to have the wins. I think William Carey will be top 3 again in the conference. I'm not going as far as saying 1 right now because the 3 teams behind them have a legit case as well. But I think she can have an absolutely player of the year type of season. 24 double-figure scoring games, 5 20-point games, 8 double-doubles. She averaged 16 points in her last 8 games of the year. Again, we're big on how you end the season. Individually, will carry over into the offseason and into the next year. I'm going to pause here. I always forget to do it early on. Housekeeping rules. Again, we do not know everybody that's coming back. We do not know everything that is going on behind closed doors. We sent out a Google form. It came back. Some coaches were able to respond. Some coaches weren't. Nothing against the coaches. We understand that you are always busy throughout the summer especially. But just for the people at home and the people listening and watching, we're getting our stuff from the NEIA website, from the Southern States website, from the school website, and then from what the coaches tell us. And then sometimes we got to make some assumptions in there. It's part of the game. Summer. It's a lot of predicting, a lot of projecting is going on right now. But back to William Carey, like I said, Chanel, I think she's going to be a definitely another all-conference first-team member. I'm looking if she can take that leap to be a player of the year type of player.
I need a double-double.
I think she can. Again, she's flirting with it already with 15 and 9, pretty much like you mentioned. Now, Leah, I think she can get a leap because she's very, very versatile. She had 8 double-figure scoring games, a 20-point game in there, but she also had a double-double. She had 13 games with 5+ rebounds. She had 5 games with 5+ assists, and she also had a 10-assist game in there as well. she clearly was able to do a lot of different things. So I'm curious to see if she can step into more of a role where the numbers and the overall stat line is a little bit more impressive. I think she can get to 10 points. I like 5 rebounds. I like 5 assists. If she can get a 10, 5, and 5, you're talking about a definitely an all-conference member, at least second team, very bare
100%.
minimum. So I'm excited for her. And the other two that we mentioned, I think they're more X factors. I think they have the ability to be on any given night the reason you win a game, the reason that you maybe through a stretch you have an ability to rely on them to get 6 points in a row, 8 points in a row, be able to impact both sides of the ball. So I'm very excited to see what this group comes back with because of a new coach. I'm going to say a new voice. It's not a new coach to me. It's a new voice that's going to be talking a little
New
bit
leader.
more. But you have the same group. You have an older group that's going to be able to help everybody overall. You are losing Colton Blakely, first team all-conference member, player of the year. I believe she was also NAIA All-American. 14, we're going to give her 15, 8 rebounds, 56% from the field. You're also losing Rose Warren, first team all-conference member with 10, 5, and 5. It's going to be a tough hit for sure, but I do think they're going to be able to weather the storm a little bit at the beginning and then be able to come out on the other side of it. Their schedule is up. They don't have any, again, standout teams. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. There's not anything here on their non-conference schedule that's gonna make me be like, oh wow, this is gonna be a great matchup. But you gotta understand the Southern States has that already. You're going into a conference where there are 4 national team members. You don't need to stack your non-conference schedule because it probably only hurts you more than it'll help you. So I'm not surprised at that. They are going to play in the Faulkner Classic to start their season on October 24th and the 25th. They do have Louisiana Christian on in here, which is going to be a very good game. I don't think that's going to be anything that's to sleep on for sure. And then they also have, and then they start their conference opener with Loyola, and then UT Southern and Blue Mountain Christian.
Great test.
I like this again right there. We talked about the Southern States. You've got Loyola, who was a 2 seed last year. You got UT Southern, and then you've got UT Southern, who was a 4 seed, who's going to be looking to make a little bit of a leap here. If you didn't catch my interview with Coach Ross, go ahead, check that one out. It was a great interview. I really enjoyed picking his brain from this UT Southern team. And then Blue Mountain Christian, who are the defending conference champions. Heck of a test. They're going to be on the road, on the road. So all 3 of those are going to be on the road. It's going to be a very, 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 very tough early test for this William Carey team, but I think it's going to be what they need to be able to get back to where they want to get to next year, or at the end of the season, I should say. Loyola, the Wolfpack, I like them. I'm big on them, and I'm big on them because you got to respect the pedigree. This team's got pedigree. I mean, you're talking about a team that last year they made the national tournament as a 10th seed. They lost in the first round. 12 straight trips to the national tournament. I fully expect it to be 13. I think they're going to get to lucky number 13. 7.
I like the Ming one.
7. We're going to get to that. 7 out of the last 11 conference tournament champions belong to the Wolfpack. This team has been the team to beat for the better part of a decade now when we talk about it. I'm going to let you go first because I can feel it. I can feel the blood boiling, the Kool-Aid boiling right now. So I'm going to wait. But talk to me about why you feel this Loyola team is about to be the number 1 seed next year in the Southern States.
They've already proven that they have the recipe for success. They know what pieces to bring. They know what facilities to utilize on. And from what they're losing, not to discredit any of these girls, you have MG Lyman, Kate Thompson, Jocelyn Wyatt. But what they're losing, they can recover. From what they're losing, they have a combined between 3 people. It's 23 points. Just about. They can make that up with 3 freshmen. They can bring 3 solid freshmen to their rotation, 3 solid recruits, transfers into their rotation, give them 2-3 weeks, 2-3 months, get them back in the swing of things, get them accustomed to that Loyola way, that Wolfpack mentality, and by the time the season starts, they know what they have to do. That's recoverable. And with what they're bringing back with Alyssa Odell, first team all conference, 14, 9, 54% from their field, almost 40% from 3, flirting with a double-double. Denia Thornton, 13-7, and again, another double-double flirt. Almost 3 steals per game, 46% from field, 30% from 3. First team all conference as well. And then you have Caitlin Travis, second team all conference, 12, 4, 2 with 40%. You already have what you need as far as experience, as far as leadership, as far as example. Odell, Thornton, and Travis have been in the Wolfpack mentality for a year now, maybe even longer. They've experienced what they need, they've experienced success, and they know what they're looking for. They can bring that experience, that knowledge to everybody else that does come in and show them by leading the way.
They have been in the Wolfpack mentality for more than 1 year. They're going into their junior years, all 3 of them. And I'm going to need the solo shot for this one. This Loyola team is legit. This Loyola team, we haven't thrown around the word big 3 a lot this preseason and these previews and stuff like that. 'Cause I think that's a rare thing to have, especially in college. I mean, you can have maybe a clear number 1, maybe a duo, but a 3-headed monster of consistency is a very rare thing to have. This Loyola team has it. For the past 3 years, Alyssa, Denia, and Caitlin have dominated in their respective class. When they came in, all 3 of them, their freshman year, all freshman team. Sophomore year, all conference. This junior year, they are going to be, again, all conference, but all 3 of them will be a first team all conference selection. I'm sharpening it now. Caitlin just missed out on it, but it wasn't because of the stats. I just think the rest of the players in the conference just had a little bit more, and they were not ready to give Loyola the satisfaction of saying we got 3 all first team members. But it's going to happen this year because I do think, and I agree with you, Loyola will be my favorite to be the number 1 seed next year. I think they just have too much coming back, and they've been doing it for so long. Yes, they haven't won. They didn't win last year, but the year before they've been winning. Winning is what they do in the Wolfpack den. So I'm very excited for this crew. Individually, you've got Odell. 23 out of the 30 games she had were double-figure scoring games. She had 6 20-plus games. She had 8 double-doubles, and she had 27 5-plus rebound games. The girl was filling up the stat sheet. It was longer than the Chick-fil-A line on every single day, including Sunday. You can't replicate these type of things. Now we go with Denia Thornton. A triple-double. 1 triple-double this year with steals. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. She had 10 steals to get the triple-double. You don't do that. That's not something that I just roll out of bed and do. She is an elite two-way player. All right, 2K26 just came out. She would be in there, and she'd be close to that 90 overall. She was having that type of year last year to go along with 22 10-plus scoring games, 4 20-plus games, including a season-high 38. I wanted to see her get 40 and going along with 5 double-doubles. You cannot be just shocked at this team anymore. They have the ability to be led for what has already happened. I think that they have slowly progressed into now being the clear-cut team to beat. And I really believe that it's not a surprise for those who have followed the Southern States for the past 3 years now. Caitlin Travis. She's the biggest one to me who needs to make the biggest leap, not from the numbers, but I just feel like she is due for her flowers, so to speak. I do believe she could have been a first-team member. I'm sure she was on the cusp. The girl, to end the year, I think she was a little upset she didn't get it because she averaged 13 points and only had 1 game less than 10 points in that stretch. She had 22 double-figure scoring games, 2 20-point games, and then 2 5-plus rebound games. This crew has the best 3-headed monster in the conference. I'm saying it now, and I don't think it's a hot take. I really don't. The numbers don't lie. The pedigree doesn't lie. For the past 3 years, these 3 ladies have been the best in terms of individual. Maybe not, but as a group, when you put all 3 of them on the court together, it's beautiful to watch. It's great basketball. It's some of the best basketball you'll see. I am so high on this Loyola team because of that. I just don't see too many. There are some heavy hitters in this conference, but you cannot just overlook the fact that while there might be other big threes that some fans are going to be out there saying, oh, we have one, oh, we have one. You may have a big three. Do you have a big three that's got 3 years in? That's got 3 years of playing with each other? That's got 3 years of knowing where I like the ball, what I like to do, the moments I want the ball in? Do you have a coach that knows those three and how they're able to mesh? I think it all comes into the fact that, yes, to me, this is the team to beat. They are the favorites for the number 1 seed for the Southern States next year.
Hear me out here. I have my mic in my hand, it's serious. This conference, and I want to clarify this. The only reason why I said that Loyola was my number 1 was because if I were to place them in seeds and rankings, they would be. But I'm naming this conference the seedless conference because it can truly
name a conference.
It can truly go any direction. I cannot be comfortable. Telling the world that Loyola personally is a lock for number 1. Because I'm not wishing this on anybody. I'm not. But let's just say somebody wakes up and has a bad game. Somebody wakes up and they feel a sore thumb or something that changes the flow of their processes, something that changes their game, and something that really does harm everything to, put a dent in their success. And it's not only Loyola, this is every team. All it takes is one puzzle piece to be out, and that can easily drop them from 1 to 9, realistically.
I'm not gonna disregard that. It is true, and I think seedless conference, like you said the same thing that I said, but you just said it cooler. The seedless conference is an also creative way to look at it, but that is what this conference is. They are the seedless conference. Anybody could be on any seed. Anybody could fall to any seed and get to any seed. It is, again, you can call it a hot take just by me saying it on August 31st that this Loyola team will be the number 1 seed, and my prediction
It's not a hot take.
It might, but some people out there are going to say it's going to be a hot take. And my prediction might change maybe by the end of September, in a month, or by the start of the season. I don't know. But today, on paper, I just can't, I can't deprive myself of saying it out to the public. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It is what it is. I don't mind being wrong. It's okay. It's fun. It's fine. But I just really like this team. And when I saw that they were 7 for 11 in conference tournaments the past few years, and the fact that these 3 have been dominating for as long as they have, I just couldn't help myself. I will say this, and then we'll go over to Mobile. Odell, I think your turnovers are too high. I'm calling you out on how
I was thinking about that the entire time. I just couldn't speak on it.
A better turnover rate. Now, she was only averaging like 2 a game. And I say only because when you have a player of her level, she's gonna have the ball a lot. She's gonna be in a lot of action, so she's gonna have turnovers. So averaging 2 turnovers is not crazy. But when I went into the individual game by game numbers, she had a lot of turnovers games where it was 3+, 4+, even some 5. I think I remember seeing a 6 one in there, and it wasn't a lot of them, but there were too many for me for a player of her level. Now, experience comes wisdom. With age comes wisdom. And I do think going into year 3, she's going to cut down the turnovers a little bit. If she can get those turnovers under like 2 to like 1 point something, even 1.9, I think now she's in the player of the year contention. I think now she has the ability to be the best player. To be honest with you, any one of these 3 could have a player of the year type of year. They have a floor.
Yes.
Caitlin last year was a second team conference member. What if she goes into the summer with a chip on her shoulder and she decides, no, I want people to realize how good I am. Not taking anything away from my teammates, obviously, but I feel like as a player, I should have been first team all conference member over some of the people in the conference. I'm gonna go out and do something and be on a mission. Then she turns out to be having all player of the year. I don't know how many players or how many teams this year in the Southern States can say we have 3 potential player of the year candidates, because you're gonna get the wins. It's gonna come down to, it sucks sometimes because then votes are gonna go away from each other, whatever, and it's a tough thing to talk about. But I'm sure The coaches at Loyola would have loved to have that problem. To have 3 Player of the Year contenders. Probably not any of them are going to win because they're going to take votes from each other. But the fact that you even have that on your roster and you have them playing together, man, that's a coach's dream. It's a coach's dream, absolutely. This Loyola team is they may be up. They're going to be up there for me. I know Lex doesn't want to peg them as the number 1 seed, but I think he's closer to
I
it.
can't. And something that just drew me off even more was the turnovers, like you said. I don't know how, like, for them to have 16 as a group, that's pretty low in the grand scheme of things in comparison to everybody else that we've talked about for the past month and a half at this point. But how many of those 16 are drawn by Odell, Thornton, and Chavez?
And it's going to be a good amount because, again, they're going to have the ball majority of the time. And that's why I think if one or all 3 are able to bring down their turnovers, I think the team's overall turnovers comes down. And now we're looking at a much more efficient Loyola team with taking care of the basketball. Their schedule is up. Now, last year, I don't know if they got something going on here, but again, Loyola is in New Orleans. So last year they traveled to both LSU Shreveport and LSUA. Lost both games. They lost to Shreveport by 1, and they lost to Alexandria by 13. Now, this year, before I get to, because they will be bringing in the LSU duo, they'll be coming to Loyola to open the season on Friday, October 24th. They got Langston. That game, give a little preview to the people at home. We are Lex and I and the team here at Hoop Report are in talks of we're going to do some type of game to watch, player games of the week, stuff like that. We're going to do that kind of stuff, get some nice interaction with all you and keeping up with all the games. And so you guys know what's going on. That might be game of the week for that first week because not just of the teams, but the storylines that we're going into it. You and I both are kind of waiting to see what Lynx is going to have this year because we don't know. We just really don't know the recruits and all that kind of stuff. We've seen that they're going to bring in a great group that some are even saying is arguably better than last year. I would love to see that. Now,
I would love it.
Your test is a Loyola team that feels like they are one of the best teams, not just in their conference, but in the nation. Again, a 10 seed last year. Like they were not 14, 15 barely got in. They were in there pretty solidly in the middle of the pack. That's a heck of a test. That might be a sleeper game of the week. That might be a game of the week type of thing. I'm not going on a limb yet on who I'm picking in that one, but that game is going to be a good one to watch. I might need to tune into that one on Friday. I really do. I really might.
We have a watch party.
We're going to have a lot of watch parties. We're already making plans for a lot of watch parties this coming season. But now we're going to head over to Mobile. Mobile, they made the national tournament last year. They were an 8th seed. So congratulations to them. They did lose in the first round as well. This team's a little interesting to me because
they're triggering my phobia.
I can see that. I can see them triggering your phobia, but they're triggering my phobia of what they're losing because they're losing a lot. They're losing Alana Donaldson, first team all conference member, Braley McMath, first team all conference member, Mackenzie White, second team all conference member. You're only returning 6 players. Their roster is not out yet. Talk to me about your phobia. Where is this phobia fear coming from? Because I just feel like for me, it's losing a lot. I'm looking at the recruiting class. This might be the most heavy recruiting class team in the conference this year.
You're losing almost 50 points. You would need the Monday sisters. You would need some Kool-Aid and a sprinkle of some magic juice to be able to make that up within a year. Plus, with this uncertainty of when people are coming back, who's coming back, moment of silence.
This team, again, they do have 11 incoming transfers. We don't know who those transfers are just yet. Their roster breakdown is pretty balanced. They've got 4 freshmen, 4 sophomores, 2 juniors, a senior, 6 grads. If you have 6 grads and you're returning 6 players, according to them, tells me one of 2 things. 1, all your 6 returners are grads.
Yes.
2, you went out and got 6 graduate transfers. If that's the case, and I'm gonna go with that one because it's just better for stories and better for imagination. This team could do something interesting. Now, do I think they're a 3 seed again today on August 31st? I can't say that. There's too much uncertainty, but they are my biggest recruiting class team this year in the Southern States. I don't know what's gonna happen. Do I think they fall off a cliff? No, I do think Mobile has been pretty consistent, and in the 2 years that Coach Sidney Wistry has been there, they've been to the Southern States conference tournament. So I don't think that's gonna change. I think they will still be in it, and I think they'll be in it pretty comfortably. I don't think they're gonna have to have a play-in type of entrance to the tournament. But I just don't know if the 3 seed is gonna be in play for them. This team, I'm gonna be interested in. I'm gonna keep an eye on. I'm gonna see what's gonna happen in the beginning of the year. Their schedule is not out yet, so we haven't been able to see who they're gonna be playing early on. But I do like the uncertainty, just from a fan perspective. I just like to see what they have, because those 6 grads are really, like, they're just catching my eye. They're gonna be. I just don't see it being one being other than those 2 options. Either you have all 6 players coming back are graduates, which I think is very unlikely, just in the sense of it's not something you hear about a lot, but it's a possibility.
Yeah.
More likely, they went out and got transfers who are going to be grads, and we know that that's when things kind of get different. That's when things get interesting. So I'm very excited to see the fact that this team is pretty balanced in their roster. Lets me know that they could fall anywhere. They could be the biggest, again, cone of uncertainty. I'm giving it to them for the coming season. UT Southern, Firehawks. I'm high on this group. Again, had a great interview with Coach Ross. Go ahead and check that out. We talked a lot about his team, talked a lot about what's coming back. I'm going to let you cook with Ashley Dickey, Lauren Smith. I'm calling dibs on Silky, because me and this girl about to have a heart-to-heart right now, and it's going to be a fun one. But talk to me about what this team is coming back. Talk to me about what they're bringing in, because they're bringing in a good amount as well. Just tell me, how high are you on the Firehawks?
I'm okay with the Firehawks. I think that they have the potential to be one of those teams that do mess up the rankings, so to say, in the seedless conference. But they are retaining a first-team all-conference potential player of the year candidate in Ashley Dickey. 19 points, 4 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals, and rounding it up on a very efficient 42% from the field. With that, if you want to, round up everything to almost a 5 that split where she's being very efficient. You already called dibs on Silky Vasquez. I won't even touch it. But Lauren Smith is also returning with 8 points, 8 boards, almost a double-double on 35% from the field. Very strong core. That's a lot you are returning back, but you are losing a lot as well. And we can't ignore that. If anything, that's what we can't ignore. UT Southern has a lot coming back. They're bringing in a lot. And they statistically have always been kind of one of the front runners. They've always been the ones kind of taking the leap, always leading in stats. They are pushing almost 80 points per game, which in our scale is pretty elite, pushing that point. But with what they're losing in Deja Reed, first team all conference, and Cassidy Broussard, that's a combined maybe 30 points right there. You're also losing maybe 12 boards. Very efficient shooting from them both, as well as a defensive presence. My fear is with whoever's coming back, whoever they're bringing in, if that can be made up.
I'm really high on this Firehawks team. After this, we will revisit at number 1 and your separation, and then I'm going to force you to pick a seeding order. I'm not going to hold you to it, but I just want to see where your head's at. I want to see where your head's at, or at least I'll say this: give me your top 2 and your bottom 2. I'll say that. So you don't got to give me a number, but give me your top 2 and your bottom 2. So you can start thinking about that right now. This UT Southern group, I think they're ready for the jump. I think, and I'm spoiler here, this is my number 2. My top 2 next year are going to be Loyola and UT Southern. Whatever order you want, go about it. But I that's my top 2 just because, and I'm going to start with her because I called dibs. Silky Vasquez, second team all-conference member. This was her stat line last year. She's going into her senior year. I'm rounding up. 9, 5, 7 assists, by the way. 2 steals. 43% from the field. 33% from the three-point line. She had 9, 10-plus scoring games. She had a triple-double. She had 2 double-doubles with assist. Yes, that means 10 assists. She also had 5 near triple-doubles. These are points, rebounds, and assists. 11, 9, and 12. 10, 7, and 12. 7, 7, and 12. 17, 7, and 8. And 7, 7, and 8. She had 6 games with 3+ steals. She had at least 1 steal in every game she played. If she touched on the court, she's picking your pockets. She's a thief. Grade A. I don't know what I'm going to tell you. She's clearly never seen Dora because she was swiping left and right.
What a guy.
This team is going to be not the deepest, not the most, like we talked about big 3 for Loyola. I think they've got a big 3 potential. I do think they've got a dynamic duo with Ashley and Silky. Lauren Smith, I think you have the potential to be a clean number 3, like right there with them. I think that she's going to have an all-conference season. I'm thinking second team is completely in play for her. She had 7 double-figure scoring games. She had 2 double-doubles. She was on the glass. 15 5+ rebound games, 4 10+ rebound games. She's my X factor. I have it here in my notes. Lauren, if you don't believe me, I'll send you a copy. Right here on my notes, you are the X factor for me because I think you have the ability to be clean 10-point per game score, and you're already at 7.6 rebounds. Go give me that double-double, girl, or flirt with it. I want you to flirt with it even more. I want you to really get closer to that number because I think that's a completely realistic goal for her. I love what this team is doing. I think this team is going to bring in a great group. Again, the roster's already out, so I have no problem talking about it, and I already talked about a few of them with Coach Ross. Ainsley Burleson, Ramey Reed, Tamaria Carter, Marlee Paz Martinez, Mia Jones. He went out and got a great group. This is the other part that I'm really high on this UT Southern team. And it's a perfect segue to lead with Ashley. Ashley last year, she may arguably be the best scorer in the conference. I think that's not a crazy thing to say. Again, putting up 19 on an efficient 42% is a very hard thing to do. She had 20 10+ scoring games. She had 9 20+ scoring games. She had 1 30+ scoring game. She also had 5 rebounds and 4 5+ assists. So she was doing it all. It wasn't just the scoring, but she might be the best scorer, just pure scorer in the conference. She had a lot of foul troubles. She had 11 games with 4+ fouls. A few of them, those were 5 foul games. She didn't obviously foul out in the end. But after my interview with Coach Ross, and obviously the research, they didn't have that many players last year. I believe he told me they only had about 10, maybe even that. So obviously those fouls can be a little misleading. He went out and got about 11 or 13 new players to come into this group this year. Now you've got 6 freshmen. He's clearly preparing for the future. He's already going to be thinking about next year. You've got 1 sophomore. You've got 6 juniors and 4 seniors. You've got a perfect balance of upperclassmen, 10, and underclassmen at 7. I'm more so talking about those 6 freshmen. I would throw the sophomore with the older group, in my opinion. But now you've got a deeper bench. Now you don't got to the wear and tear isn't going to be as much as it was. One of the main things that I got from the interview from him, and I think this is a great clip to talk about. Hopefully people will go and watch it. They made it to the conference tournament, and he told me his team wasn't mentally prepared for the back-to-back. It was new to them. I think he said they hadn't won that first game. So they weren't used to, we win on a Thursday, for example. Well, we're not getting a couple days off. We got to go right back into it tomorrow. So now it's a quick turnaround time. It's a quick, the legs are a little, it's February. Everybody's got, no one's 100%. Everybody's got a nick here, a bruise there.
Oh yeah, it's definitely sore.
Something's sore. If it's not sore, you're not playing. Like that you don't care. That's what that tells me. No one's at 100%. You may feel it, but your body ain't at 100%. So now you've got more bodies to throw out there. You've got experience on your side. This UT Southern team, I'm here for it. I'm excited for them. I think they're primed for a big year. Last year, they played Cumberland's Tennessee. They lost by 2 in double overtime. They also played against number 10 Georgetown. They only lost by 7. So they were already there doing some things, making some noise. They do have their schedule out. Out of the 3 teams we talked about so far, or 4 teams now, they are the 4th. They're my best non-conference run. This is who they have. They have a few exhibition games to start. Then they've got the Kentucky Bluegrass Classic. Then they've got Cumberland's again on that rematch. It will be on the road, though, so it'll be a tough one for sure. But I know they want to get their get back. Then they've got the UC Bank Classic. In that Classic, they've got Campbellsville and Lindsey Wilson. So you've got 3 Mid-South teams. If you go 2-1 or even 3-0 in that stretch, you've given yourself the opportunity to be ranked within wherever those next polls come out. Maybe not number, but maybe receiving votes. Because then you've got University of Mobile, Faulkner, and William Carey to start your Southern States, plus Loyola after that. And those Southern States we've got, that's going to be on the road, home. So 2-2. By December 7th, if this UT Southern team is above 500 comfortably, not like 1 game or 2 games, but I mean like 3 or so games above 500, I might be looking at them saying, you beat this team, you play, okay, that was a close game. I think they're ready. I think I'm not calling them out to saying they're going to hit the ground running. I think it'll be a little bit of an adjustment period. I do think there's going to be some type of all right, let's make sure we got everything. Let's make sure we're good. You know, Coach Ross likes to play fast. It's a different type of style that a lot of his players had to get used to last year. The same thing going to happen for the new players this year. But this UT Southern team, the Firehawks are going to live up to their name. I think they're going to set, like you mentioned, they're going to set the Southern States on fire. I think they're going to, it's crazy to say that for a 4th seed, but I think they could really, really do that when it's all said and done. I told you to give me top 2, bottom 2. I don't need numbers. I gave you my top 2, Loyola, UT Southern. My bottom 2 will be Mobile and William Carey. I probably would go William Carey than Mobile. I think that would be my top 4 going into the season next year. Again, favorites, however you want to call it. Give me your top 2. Give me your bottom 2 first. Give me your bottom 2 first from the 4 teams we just talked about.
I like the order you had. If I'm doing 1 through 4, it's Loyola, UT Southern, William Carey, and Mobile in that order.
I like it. Again, and the separation between 1 and 4, so in this case, Loyola and Mobile, if you're talking about a
game-by-game situation.
Exactly. I don't think there's going to be too much. I do think each team has a unique strength. I think Loyola, they may have the best talent. I think UT Southern has the most chip on their shoulder, so to speak. I think William Carey is going to have the injection of newness with Coach Jessica. And I think Mobile has the uncertainty. They've got they're bringing in a good amount of transfers. How are they going to figure it out? Are they going to be able to figure it out? So I think each team's got a little storyline within them to kind of describe at least the start of their season. Now we go to the rest of the conference. The rest of the conference, I have no idea what you want to do about it. You can call it the seedless conference till you're blue in the face because it is literally close your eyes, flip a coin, whatever it lands on, let's rock with it. Again, we're going to talk about now. Now, question 2, who is your dark horse contender to win the conference? And question 3, who is the dark horse contender to make a deep playoff run? To elaborate a little bit more, obviously, question 2 is self-explanatory. Any team that we're about to talk about that can make a legit case to win the conference, similar to a Blue Mountain Christian last year. They were the A seed. They got hot. That's not for the question 2. For question 3, what I mean is a team that can make it to the conference finals, but you maybe don't see them actually winning it. They can make it, but you don't see them winning it. I'll even take a semifinal team if you feel like that's going to be a little bit easier to try and get to. So, Brewton-Parker. First things first, I want to congratulate Brewton-Parker. The actual institution. For those who don't know, prior to this coming year, they were Brewton-Parker College. They are officially now Brewton-Parker University. That was announced in the summer, like early summer, so I wanted to give them their flowers at university. In a day and age where we've already talked about some universities closing down and not being able to continue past this coming year, it's always good to talk about the ones who not only are continuing, but thriving and moving up in the world. So, you and I have seen that firsthand, so it's definitely something that I wanted to take a moment on and talk about. But back to the basketball. Returning 7 players. Brewton-Parker, last year, 5th seed, the Lady Barons were a solid team. They were a solid team. They're losing Destiny Wright and Angel McRae, 2 second-team all-conference members, 17 for Wright, 7 for McRae, combine about just under 18 rebounds a game. you're losing a lot, but I think you're returning a decent amount. Talk to people at home what they're bringing back, because I do think they've got a sleeper of a big three coming up here.
Chastity DeGal, second team all conference. As a freshman, 12 points, 6 boards, 45% from the field. Let's round that up. And Janique Stewart, 6.7 boards, 43% from the field. Jacayla Peoples, Sydney Beasley, 13 points combined. As a unison, you have a very young core to take you to the promised land. You have a seasoned sophomore coming into this new season, already having accolades, already having some recognition, and I can only presume is hungry for more. You also have your big three, which you're going to talk about.
And that's why I say they're young big three, because the Loyola big three we talked about, they're stamped. We know they're big three. Granted, they're pretty much on the same timeline as these three that I'm going to say, Chastity, Stewart, and Jacayla. We got 2 sophomores in there plus a junior. So next year, these three could be possibly rivaling, arguably, when we talk about just big three, with that Loyola one and a few others in the conference. I'm looking at Stewart though, 6'1", junior. You're the oldest of the.
Taller than you.
Why you gotta keep bringing that up? You're the oldest of those big three that we're mentioning here. You had 6 double-figure scoring games, 3 double-doubles, 14 5+ rebound games, 7 10+ rebound games. My only question is, and not question, but my only call out, if you want to say something, I need the free throws to be better. I don't think the free throw percentage was good enough. I think she's a better free throw shooter than what the numbers said. And granted, you're going to get a lot of attempts. So I understand that when you get a lot of attempts, the numbers may be a little bit more misleading. But I do think she can shoot a very good, efficient percentage from the free throw line. And I think that bumps her scoring up. I think now instead of 6, we're talking about 11, 12. I think those are freebies right there that you definitely need to have. For Chastity, I need a first team. I think she can make that leap. If you're a freshman and you're getting second team already, along with the ability that you already have, you add in a year under her belt, you add in continuity, you add in just experience. 19 double-figure scoring games, 320 balls, 4 double-doubles, 16 5+ rebound games. She did everything that you could ask for a freshman. There's nothing more I would really even mention for her. It's just do it again. Continue to do it. Find new ways to get motivated about it. Last year, they had a really good non-conference run. They had some strong opponents. They played Southeastern University twice. They played Bethel twice. They played Campbellsville. And they played Freed-Hardeman. Granted, they lose all of those games. But you can't discredit that. You can never discredit that. I know there's coaches out there that would rather lose against good teams than beat on bad teams. No one wants to do that. No one wants cupcake games. They want to be tested, and you're going to fall a lot of times. But that's how you get back up and go and continue to do things that you want to do. The other thing I will say, and looking at the stats, Chastity, it seemed like she went away from the 3-ball towards the end of the year. Do you think going away from the 3-ball would be a situation of her not being comfortable with it, or just that's kind of what the play style was?
Maybe, and we don't know obviously, but maybe she took the first half of the season and experienced as it was her first year playing collegiate, and she learned that it just wasn't her niche and just stuck to her bread and butter.
I will say, the fact that she started with it, though, lets me know it's something she wants to add to her game. So I'm fully expecting her to have been in the gym all summer. I think she'll be more of a 3-point threat. Not saying she can start jacking them up, but I think if you're averaging, I think now she should go to about 2 attempts. Give me 2 attempts per game. If you hit one, keep shooting. If you miss both,
as a group, they need to up that though.
I have
23%.
I have it underlined. That is literally where I was going next, brother. Go ahead and take it. I know that was something you were looking at when your eyes popped.
It makes me sick. But I have no problem giving this Brewton-Parker team a contender if they increase their three-point percentage. They need to do a lot better with their turnovers. They're giving more than they're getting, and they need to stretch out the gaps as far as efficiency. And from what it's looking like, it seems like they may have had a problem with shot selection, but that's expected with a young core starting off. Two freshmen leading the team in their first year. Of course, they're gonna, have some shooting slumps, and they're going to chuck some stuff up. That number can't be here again this year, or else in a conference that is constantly changing, that is constantly revolving, it's gonna hurt you negatively.
I think that is the only thing that you can really talk about with the Brewton-Parker team. You had a good offense, 67 points per game. Give you 68. You're a bucket away from getting to 70. You had a really good defense, 64 points per game allowed. You were shooting 37% from the field. It's not great, but it's not bad either. I guess that's not a horrible number at all. There's a lot of teams who would like to shoot that. You were out-rebounding teams by almost 10. The turnovers, yes, like you said, you're giving more than you're getting, but for the most part, at least it's not a big gap. It's a decimal difference, so we can live with it for now. So I got to break it down.
I'm not living with that.
Okay, he has phobia, guys. Don't worry about him. But no, I agree with you. The three-point shooting is the thing. For you to be the fifth seed in this conference, to have a almost 20, close to 20 three-point field goal percentage, closer to 20 than you are to 30, says a lot about your team as a whole. That you were able to accommodate for a noticeable weakness so drastically, because you would think that would be a little bit lower. Maybe you still make the postseason. I'm not saying that they wouldn't, but the fifth seed, I mean, I believe you're hosting an opening for the playoffs. So it's depending on how it works out. Obviously, that's impressive. Definitely impressive. They're bringing in 8 newcomers. Their roster breakdown pretty balanced: 3 freshmen, 6 sophomores, 2 juniors, 4 seniors. This team has been in the national tournament 2 out of the last 3 years. The one time it didn't was last year. So this team is used to winning. They're gonna keep winning, as like you said. The 3-point percentage would tell me, and what we'll do is we can break these teams up. That's how we'll do this. We're gonna break these teams up into who we think could be dark horse contenders and who we think are just playoff contenders. I think we both agree we're going to put Brewton-Parker in the contender, dark horse contender to win the conference, because if their 3-point percentage does get better, they've got everything else. I don't see them not being a legit threat. If they get hot, again, similar to a Blue Mountain Christian last year, they can definitely do that.
Yes, but I will also add that they would also need their newcomers to make up what they're losing. We can't ignore 15 points from Destiny Wright, 7 boards, 3 assists. You can't ignore a near double-double from Angel McRae. Set both of them second-team all-conference. You would need immediate trust and reliability from your newcomers, or expect your freshmen to fill in those shoes on top of the shoes you're already filling to make that up. But if they do find the piece to fill in that gap, for sure.
If you had to pick one of those groups, where are you putting them? Dark horse contender?
Contenders.
And then we'll start angling it out.
The pieces need to fall.
Of course.
They're not a break right team.
No,
but everything has to break right.
That's a good way to put it. They're definitely not a break right team, but you could see that they could be a break right team to be a contender. Their schedule is out. I said before that UT Southern might have the best non-conference. I stand by it, but the number of teams that this Brewton-Parker crew has on their schedule kind of sways me a little bit. So they've got Southeastern, they've got St. Thomas, they've got Freed-Hardeman. They also have Xavier University. They've got University of Cumberland's, and they've got Southeastern again. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 possible tournament teams, but for sure 5 that were there last year. So you have an ability before technically their first conference game is going to be on November 22nd, so they're not going to play all those teams. They will have played Freed-Hardeman, St. Thomas, in Southeastern, so it's a good, and Xavier, so it's a really good test. But by the time you get into the thick of your conference, you're going to be tested fairly quickly, fairly early, and you're setting yourself up. If you're able to go, what is that, 6 games? If you're able to go if you're going to go 5-1, 4-2, I think that's an impressive. I think it's a resume builder for sure. I think it helps your case. 3-3 makes me. I think that's the floor. I don't see them going below that. I'm looking at it again. The 2 games that I may be looking at, I was like, even that, because Freed-Hardeman for sure. I think that's gonna be a tough one for them. I do believe that. University of Cumberland, I want to say is gonna be a tough one, but again, we don't really know what this version is gonna look like. So that's why I'm not 100%. Southeastern probably would be the other team that I'm like, they probably are going to have a tough test. St. Thomas, obviously, we'll get to them later when we do the Sun. They're going to be a tough out for sure. So there's a world where 3-3 is believable. I think that's the floor, to be honest with you. Now we're going to head over to Life, the Running Eagles. Postseason team last year, similar to Brewton-Parker, they had a great non-conference part of their schedule. They played Reinhardt, they played Cumberland and Tennessee twice. They played Bethel as well, and Freed-Hardeman, and Southeastern, and Trent McConnell. They went 1-6. The one game that they won was against Cumberland's by 9. I'm going to go straight to it. I'm going to let you talk about the team, the players. But that number down there by the stats next in front of that 3-point field goal percentage, it's the same thing as Brewton-Parker. These two teams can be put in the same category. 24.3% from the three-point line will not cut it. It will not cut it. When you are pretty much even with your opponents in points per game, 60.4 for you and 60.9 for
even
them.
With everything.
They're that team this year. I think they're the team in this conference that is like, we don't know. We just talked about, I believe it was Embry-Riddle, when we were talking about them being you're even everywhere. We don't know where to tend you. We don't know if you're going to go up or down. I think that's Life. I think Life just kind of sits right there in the middle of the pack. I would put them in contender to make a deep playoff push. I don't know if I'm going to go as far as making them a contender to win the conference. Again, dark horses is what we're talking about here. Talk to me about this team, though, from the players. What do you like? What do you see? And what are you thinking about for them?
I'm definitely putting them in playoff push just because of what's returning and what's not. Returning, having an eye off it, all freshman team, 11 points, 3 boards, pretty efficient, 40%, 41% from the field. Kenya Robinson, leading with a double-double, 10-8, 55% from the field. That's needed with this team for sure. You are losing to Brianna Sims, second team all conference, 12-5-2, 35% from the field. Michaela Simmons, 11-4, 3 assists, 2 steals, 36%. And Deonis Hurtado, 8 points, 3 rebounds. That's a lot. You're going to have to make up for a team that is already running the line very, very close. You're having to recover from a lot that you are missing. In my personal opinion, you're losing more than you are returning right now. We don't know what recruitment class is looking like. We don't know what else is coming. But on paper, what you are losing, it does seem like it's a lot more. So if I had to decide, I feel like this Life team is possibly taking a hit more than hitting other teams. But I'm all for success here. If you can create more of a gap within every single one of your stats and also be on the winning side of those categories, you have a pretty good chance of causing havoc. But till then, because it looks like right now, the only category that you are winning, so to say, from what you provide for other teams, or your field goal percentage, which isn't that big of a gap, and your turnovers, which is pretty much the same thing. Everything else, you're giving more to your opponents and you're also producing for yourself. We need to push 65 points per game. I want you to touch at least 40% from the field goal percentage, be closer to 30 than you are to 20 from the 3, 40 boards, and drop those turnovers to maybe a 14. 13 is preferable, but I could live with 14. If you do that, you can call yourself a contender.
Again, we talked about some teams in the past. The 60 opponents' points per game doesn't look good because of the 60 opponents per game. If this team was even, like you said, 65 and the opponents at 60, I'm like, oh, this team is right there. You can see it. It's a potential. They're going to do something really cool next year. They are my sleeper team, though. I do have it right here, sleeper, because of the freshmen that they're going to bring back. Anaya Oof, last 7 games, 16 points per game. She had 15 double-figure scoring games, 5 20-plus scoring games, and she ended the season with back-to-back 20 balls. I think she's going to have a little bit more of just swag about her. I think she's proven to herself that she could do this, and now we're looking at maybe a 15-point per game score is what's brewing going into next year. I'm very excited to see what she is going to be able to lead with this group. Now, Kanaya Robinson, that's no slouch right there. Like you mentioned, she might be flirting with double-doubles less because she's going to actually get them. She's 9.5 and 7.6. That's 10 and 8 to us. 16 double-figure scoring games, 4 double-doubles already, 20 5-rebound games, 6 10-rebound games, and 1 20-rebound game. Free throw percentage might need to be a little bit more impressive for me. I think I need more. But those two being the dynamic duo to lead this team, I'm excited for what they can be. I just don't know if they'll be that this year. Maybe in a year, though. Maybe in a year. I could see them us revisiting this next year and saying, I'm actually more on this Life team than I was last year. I think I'm more leaning towards the possibility of a deep contender run as opposed to just a playoff run. But for me and for Lex, we're going to put them squarely in a deep playoff run. They could get to the finals. They could probably more likely get to the semis, but we just don't see them necessarily hosting that trophy when it's all said and done. Their schedule is out. They've got Kaiser. Their first technical game, they do have an exhibition before that, but they're going to be playing against Kaiser. They've also got Embry-Riddle. They've also got Freed-Hardeman, Xavier University. I also got Georgia Gwinnett, first-year program over there in Lawrenceville. I think it's been exciting for them. You got Reinhardt. This team is going to be solid. Their first conference game is going to be against Brewton-Parker. It's actually going to be pretty early, November 22nd, so they're going to have not that early. They're going to have about 6 games under their belt. They also have Cumberland and Tennessee down there. So they got a pretty spread out non-conference schedule. I think it's good for them. You kind of see a trend here. The first 4 teams didn't really have too many. They had a few, but they didn't have too many. These next 2 teams, probably, and Faulkner are going to be another one because we don't look at these schedules. We started doing the schedules together. Like we started doing this. I go through this so that me and Lex can kind of have a initial look and reaction to them. So we don't know what Faulkner's going to have, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be similar. So we see a pattern here. The ones that aren't on the top of the 4 in the Southern states, they know they got to go out and beat and play some of these better teams. So, but I'm excited for Life. They are my sleeper team, and I think they're for good reason. But like you said, 3-point percentage and overarching everything, it's got to be a little bit more of a separation.
100%.
Faulkner, the Eagles, solid team. Let me tell you something. I was drinking Kool-Aid earlier with Loyola. I'm going back for seconds for this Faulkner crew. I am.
This is my sleeper team.
You know what, brother? Because it's your sleeper team, you go first.
This Faulkner team, there's a lot that they are returning. They're returning Kiara, Scotland, all freshman team at that. 10 points, boards, 2 assists, 40% from the field. Ruthie Smith, first team all conference, 18 points, 10 boards. Just round that up, that's a double-double on basically 50% from the field, 32% from 3. That's a lethal threat. You also have Sydney Stewart, 10 points, 6 boards, 5 assists. Talk about utility tool. Talk about being everything that your team needs and more. Pushing a 50-40-90 split with 46% from the field goal, 41 from 3, 92 from the free throw. And then you have D. Gwynn, Grace, and Rose. Those two combined for 15.7 boards, 42% from the field goal, and 35 from three. If I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid now, call my thirst quenched, because I'm drinking it now. Because this Faulkner team, and I'm going to be wary saying this.
Say it. Say it with your chest.
Let the cards fall right for this team. They're winning the chip.
I'm putting them in that category as well. They are a dark horse contender. This Faulkner team is elite under the radar. I think that's why I'm high on them, because I don't think people are going to be looking at them like that. I think they're if they were a contender, like a top 4 seed, I don't think I wouldn't be as high on them, to be honest with you, because they're a 7 seed, because they're kind of coming in under the radar. I think people are going to be overlooking them. You talked about everybody. I'm circling back, though. Ruthie Smith, first team all-conference member. This girl. Last 10 games. These are just the last 10 games of the season. This is what she put up. 5 double-doubles. Average 16 and 10. 9 double-figure scoring games. 4 20 balls. The girl was doing stuff at the end of the year that would get anybody excited for next year. I think she's not only going to be a first-team all-conference member again. She's my dark horse player of the year. Because if Faulkner gets enough wins, and they get to maybe 4, I think all she needs is 4 to get a legit case. Be a finalist. If we were doing it like the league does, be a finalist for MVP, I think she could be a finalist. Maybe she doesn't win it, but I think she's going to get serious traction, because once Faulkner gets these wins and she keeps putting up a clean double-double, 17, give her 18 and 5 and 10 like you talked about, efficient scorer. As an overarching season, she had 23 double-figure scoring games, 11 20 balls, 11 double-doubles, 8. She had 8 20 and 10 games. She had 8 of them. She had 8 of them. The stats are statting. Now we just need the wins to win. The wins got to be winning, and then we're going to be good. I think this team, led by her, has enough. Just for the people at home, in case you didn't know, that was Coach Jacob Rourke's first year. That was year 1. What do you think he's going to do for year 2? This team is scary. Yes, Life is my sleeper, because they are legitimately like a sleeper team. Like, not a lot of people are going to probably be looking at them. Faulkner's your sleeper, and I get it. Faulkner's my scary team. They're my scary one. They may be doing something. They may be cooking something up. And I'm very excited for this Eagles team. Their schedule is not up yet. They did have some good opponents last year, though. They played number 3 Campbellsville. They played receiving votes, William Carey and Freed Hardeman, as well as some other very noticeable games. They didn't win them. Shawnee State was the other one I was trying to remember. They didn't win any of them. But again, you got to play these games. And I'm excited to see the schedule. I can't wait for the schedule to drop, because they're one of those teams I'm going to be keeping an eye on throughout the year, especially at the beginning, to see how they kind of shake things out at the start.
Let them win against Bethel. They're winning the chip. I'm sorry.
Blue Mountain Christian. I got to give y'all a round of applause. I got to. Because what y'all did last year as an 8 seed, Miami could never.
Unheard of.
Literally, Miami could never. Anyways, Southern State Athletic Conference champions for the tournament. National team, again, first time they ever won the Southern States. First time they ever got to the tournament. They were number 13 seed. I think that's more impressive. Yes, there's 16 per quadrant. We know that. But to be a 13, I mean, you would have thought some people probably thought they were going to be a 16. But to be a 13, to be kind of not comfortably in there, but you didn't just make it. You were a 13 seed. That's pretty impressive for me. So I definitely want to give them their shout out for that. They did lose in the first round, but they were so hot last year that, and before I talk about it, this was their averages. Going into the conference tournament, they were on a 2-game losing streak, right? They then run off the tournament, winning 4 games in a row to clinch it. These were their averages. For the season, they were at 57 points per game and 69 opponents' points per game. That's for the season. For those 4 games, they put up 63 a night. They held opponents to 55 a night. They were winning games by an average of 7.5 points per game. That was their last 4 games. It was so hot, like I was saying, that they went against Langston, who was a legit team last year that could have made a deep run in the postseason in the national tournament. One of the best teams in the country. They forced them to overtime. And they only won by a possession. It was a 2-point game at the end of it. This Blue Mountain Christian team, they didn't catch the lightning in the bottle. They caught the whole freaking storm. They caught the whole storm for it. And just ran something off that it's up there with, like, obviously I was raving, and I'm going to always talk about what Coach Chris Nelson and Bethel did last year, because they not only did it in the conference tournament, but they did it in the national tournament. That's why I'm so high on what they did. But if we're just talking about conference as a whole, Blue Mountain Christian did it better, because they were a lower seed. Yes, the Mid-South is tougher in the sense of the teams in there compared to the Southern states. I get that. I understand that. But Blue Mountain was the 8th seed. They were the 8th seed. And their singles week, really, turnaround was a completely different thing from what we saw all year. They woke up and sprinkled a little bit of
travel every day.
Sprinkled a little bit of fairy dust, wished upon a star, and they went out and handled business and did something that most of those, if not all those ladies and all the coaching staff and everybody that was a part of that program will remember for years to come. Again, that was last year. I wanted to put a bow on it for them because it was just such a generational run. I wanted to give it its proper moment in the limelight. Going on to this year now. What do you like about this team? There's something brewing here. I don't know if I'm going to go as far as say they can repeat as Southern State champs, but I would put them, out of respect, I'm putting them in the contenders tier, but they will be the last team in that tier. They're either going to be my first team in the contenders or my last team, or my last team in the contenders or my first team in the deep playoff run. Where do you have them and why?
They're my first team in the playoff run.
I respect it. They got to be first, though. They can't be second. They got to be first.
Yeah, they got to be first. And that's out of respect, because we can't discredit the work that they put in last year to get what they got. The only reason is because they're the definition of a game-by-game situation. Like that is exactly what they showed us. They showed that the season, they can have a couple rough ones. They can have some back and forth ones that place them at 8. But if you put us in a situation where it's literally game by game, like when it goes, keep going, loser goes home, I'll give you a run for your money. And yeah, that's precisely what happened. They are returning Christin Guy, second team all conference, 10, 4, and 3 assists with the 32% from the field. Mackenzie Williams, all freshman. Rebecca Walter and Deja Pryor. You have a lot coming back for sure. But you are taking away Charnita Brooks, a very core piece, second team all conference, 13, 4, 32% from the field, who will not be returning this season. With a team that statistically is losing the battle on all fronts throughout the season as a unit, I would like to say that my challenge for them is to spark a run like that all season long. Consistency would be the word, genuinely. Away from, reversing the gap that you guys have statistically against other teams. But my personal challenge would be consistent. Do what you did in the playoffs all season.
And that's gonna be for everybody. Like we all know that's definitely what the coaches were saying, what the players are saying. They need to do that all year. To do it at the biggest moment of the year though is something that like it's hard to talk about this team
It
because
won't get discredited for sure.
it's hard to talk about them because the way it ended is so much different from the way it started. You don't know which is which. You don't know which is which. But I do think there is a common middle ground. This team is not going to be a favorite in the tournament, but they shouldn't be an AC seed. I don't think they're going to be an AC seed. I think they'll be a little bit higher. Specifically, I'm looking at Guy. The last 4 games, she had 13, 17, 14, and 22. She had 9 double-figure scoring games, 2 20 bowls.
22 in the chip.
22 in the chip. 22 in the chip. 22 in the chip. Come on now. And I'm also looking at Rebecca Walter. She had 10 double-figure scoring games as well as 2 double-doubles in a 2010 game. You have enough to be a much solidified, better playoff team. Now, no one. This is also a reason I'm probably going to go with first team in my deep playoff run category. No one is going to be shocked by you anymore. Once the tournament comes, they could be the 8th seed again. They could be the 10th seed that got in through the play-in. If Blue Mountain Christian comes up on the schedule for any one of those teams in the postseason,
they know what they're dealing with.
You are not going to see a more prepared team, a higher seed team for a lower seed than you will in those games. Because they're the definition of if you give them confidence, they will turn into a different animal. With that being said,
sure.
Blue Mountain Christian has to understand that because of that mentality, they're going to have that target on their back. They're going to have, you got to use the regular season to get what you want to get to the point and performance level that you want to be at when that pressure comes.
Use the regular season to mislead the conference. Let them know that you're just not a playoff team. Because there are teams that are just for regular seasons.
The 4 teams that they beat are going to not forget that because a lot of them
never again
that they should have beaten them. And because of that, you just have to understand that your season coming up is the definition of no days off, especially when you get the conference. The schedule is not out yet, and I would love to see it, but I can't wait to see it. We're going to move over now to these next 3 teams. These next 3 teams we can kind of do together because I do think all 3 would be, if we're making tiers, they would definitely be in the playoff tier. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to be high on that deep playoff run. I do think
Speak for yourself, brother.
Okay, my fault. So I'll let you start then for that. How many? 1, 2, all 3?
Just one.
Okay. So I'll let you start with that 1, but we'll try and group them all together. Can I guess which one it is?
Sure.
Is it Thomas?
No.
I tried. All right. So I'm assuming it's Point then.
It is.
All right. So go ahead. You start with Point. Talk to me about why you're a little bit higher on this team. I will say, last year was their 3rd year in the conference. So this is something new, something brewing. Talk to me about Point. Why are you going to be putting them in that dark contender tier, possibly, of the conference?
I'm high on this Point team because I feel like this team has all the correct pieces, all the rest, like all the ingredients to be successful with their having not even half a decade yet in the conference. They are still getting their feet under them. And I genuinely feel like with your core, your ringleaders being Zaria Johnson, Jada Williams, and Antonia Pittman, you have a recipe for success. I feel like when it counts, when it's supposed to count, when it's time, this team, that core, can really lock in as a unison and cause some damage. I feel like you put this roster in front of a Blue Mountain, for example. You put this roster in front of, I'll even go as far as maybe even a Life. You allow them to get comfortable, to get the flow running, get the blood flowing, they can win. I like this Point team, and I will not allow you to discredit them.
Skyhawk fans, you got a Skyhawk fan with you right here in Lex. I'm not discrediting them. I do see what you say, because for Johnson, 15 double-figure scoring games, 220 balls. For Williams, she had 12 double-figure scoring games, 320 balls. And then for Pittman, 12 double-figure scoring games, 320 balls, a 30 ball. Last 5 games, she had 23, 40, 33, and 14.
You can literally play that little hatchet with the paper thing, and you can say who's going to get buckets today.
I like it.
Sonia Pittman.
I see where you're coming from, and I don't mean to discredit the Skyhawks. But I do think, for me, I'm looking at the defense. You're almost giving up 70 a night. That needs to be better. And for
100%.
For the amount of scoring that you have, I need you to be in the 60s, and I mean comfortably. I need you to be 65. Forget just 60. I need you to get to 65.
For sure.
Another team.
Well, if they increase their 3-point percentage and they create the gap to be closer to 70 than 60 as far as points per game, and stop flirting so close with the turnovers, they're more than a dark horse.
Oh, I can't wait to get to the tears. I feel like Lex is about to break the god. Like this internet. Oh my god. I'm understanding on point. I do think that they have the potential, but I think they're a year away from being a year away. I think that's kind of more so where I'm leaning with them. Their schedule is out. Nothing jumps out the page, but they do have a lot of non-conference scheduled games. They've got a few tough ones, including there's a Reinhardt, Columbia College is in here from South Carolina, not the other Columbia College that I'm sure you were thinking about. Their first conference game is against Life. That is going to be November 20th. It's going to be on the road. Then they got Brewton-Parker, and they've got Life again, and then they kind of round out the rest of the conference. Not low on point. I'm not high on them either. I'm just kind of in the middle of the pack. I'm kind of waiting to see for them, because I do think there is some room for improvement, but that improvement will take time, and that's why I'm saying they're a year away from being a year away. You went with point. I'm going with Thomas. Thomas is my second playoff deep team, and because I'm looking at Blue Mountain Christian as more of like kind of bottom of the contender dark horse tier, they may be my first one. The reason is, and their roster is out, the 3 players that I'm about to mention, especially
Dogs.
The first one, Latarius Montgomery, Kennedy Collins, Aaliyah Ringgold, a senior, 2 grads. This team is going in on the upperclassmen-led group. Aaliyah Ringgold, 9 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. She had 12 double-figure scoring games. Kennedy Collins, 11, 7, 34 from the field, 33 from the three-point line, 14 double-figure scoring games, 320 balls, 4 double-doubles, a 20-10 game, and a 20-20 game. Girls got 20-20 vision. I couldn't let it go by. It was right there. I had to say it.
Show the 2K stats. Go ahead.
I'm just saying. She clearly spent some VC. But Montgomery is what I'm really excited about. She only played in 13 games. Out of those 13, she had 9 double-figure scoring games. She had 8 double-doubles. She had 12 5-plus rebound games. 8-plus rebound games. Couldn't misread that one. A 10-20 game. So she had 10 points and 20 rebounds. And she had 20-plus rebounds at one time. That was in 13 games.
2K.
Give her a full season. Again, don't know what happened, but I'm glad to see that she's not back on the roster. You know, some of these players aren't even on the roster, so that's why we kind of don't know if they're coming back or what. But she's on the roster. So I'm excited to see what she's going to have in a full year under her belt for the Nighthawks. You add in Kennedy and you add in Ringgold. This team, I'm very high on them. I think they're going to be a dangerous team. I think they are the Blue Mountain Christian of this coming season. Lightning in the bottle can happen. They're going to be able to catch the storm and run through the southern states to get to the championship. I'm not going to go as far as say that they're going to win, because that's 4 games in almost 4 days. It's a lot. But the Dolphins got to get better. Defense has got to get better. Like this team is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but they've got the talent and the pool to do it. You're coming off your best season since 2018, your first Southern States appearance since you joined the conference, your first postseason appearance since 2017, 2018. It was all there. This team is legit. This team is going to be fun. It's going to be a fun team to watch. They're legit because they're going to be fun. I'm not saying they're legit contender, but they're a legit fun team. And those fun teams, those are the teams that you just don't know. You don't know. If they're having fun, the vibes are good, and everything's moving in the right direction, February's here. We're in the NAIA. We are not in NCAA. We're not calling it March Madness. This is March Mayhem. It's completely different. Completely different. It's a whole nother scheme. This March Mayhem is a thing.
Some would say it's better.
And I am one of those people. This team could benefit from the mayhem of March and late February. And I could absolutely see that happening. Their schedule is out. For them, they got a good group of games here. Their first game is going to be on the 24th against Spartan Methodist. Then they've got Warner twice. They've got Coastal, Columbia International. They've got St. Thomas as well, Georgia Gwinnett, Ave Maria. So a good bunch of Southern teams, obviously, just because of where they're located. Morningside is on here. Don't sleep on that Morningside game. That might be a good one. And then for your conference run, you've got first Abraham Baldwin, which we're about to get into. They got them back-to-back almost. And then you got Life and Point and Brewton-Parker. So I think you have a good runway before you get to William Carey. Maybe before you get to Brewton-Parker and Point, because I think those two might be the transition game before William Carey. You know, obviously William Carey's one tier, Brewton-Parker and Point kind of that second tier, and then Thomas is a little bit below that. So you can kind of work your way up into it, and I think that's a good way for them to start the season for sure. We're going to go over the last team now. Not going to sugarcoat it, and I'm going to keep it simple here. ABAC, last year was your first year having basketball. Right? First year having it back. It's a development year. No one's surprised about that. You are bringing back Embry-Riddle, an all-freshman team member, 11-3. You're bringing back Shakira Cheney, 20 almost with 19, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, 6-5 from Emily Gammon. You're not really losing anybody. This is going to be a development year. I'll say this, and this is your PSA for everybody out there in the Southern States. Do not just mark this down as a win. This Abraham team is the one team in the conference with nothing to lose. So once that time comes where you're playing in the new year and you think, oh, it's going to be an easy one. Oh, they're coming to our house. We're going to beat them here, whatever. They will be the reason that you drop a seed that you're not supposed to. Now you got to play a tougher first round. Now you got it on the tougher side of the bracket. Neither one of us are saying this team is going to maybe they make the playoffs as a play-in. I don't know, but they're the break. I'm assuming they're your only break right team, right? There's only one break right team we have in this conference, and it's going to be them, right? Oh my God, he's hesitating. Never mind. Don't answer that. For me, they're my break right team. They're my break right team because I just feel like a second year of the program coming back, you got to give them some time to kind of get back to what they can be. But they are my playoff upsetters. They can mess up some of these playoff seedings, so these teams got to be on alert. But that's going to do it, because I want you to hold what everybody's about to say. That's going to do it for the actual questions here. Again, our dark horse contender, dark horse playoff run teams, we couldn't pick one, so we just kind of split them up. To recap, for me at least, what we have is, got to go back here. I've got Blue Mountain Christian, Point, Thomas as my deep playoff teams to go along with Life. I've got Brewton-Parker, Faulkner as my deep playoff teams to make a legit run and be champions in the Southern States. Who do you have in your two tiers?
Contenders, I have Brewton-Parker, Faulkner, and then I put Point in there as well.
Yes, you did.
With Life. And then the playoff runs, Blue Mountain, Thomas, possibly ABAC.
I understand. But that'll take us into our way too early tiers. I already said who my break right team is. For those who don't know, when we say break right, we mean teams that we feel will make the postseason if everything goes right. Then we'll go at the door. Teams we feel like are just on the cusp of making the playoffs. Playoff locks, teams we know will be in the playoffs. And then contenders are your teams that we feel could win the regular season or the tournament championship. For the people who aren't coming from us from the GSAC, Lex put it in terms of ink. He went tattoos, Sharpie, erasable pen. What was the last one?
Pencil with no lead.
That's the one. So I went with ABAC for my break right. Who's your break right team?
It's going to be ABAC, but it is only because I will not disrespect Blue Mountain
Whoa.
with winning the chip.
Whoa. That's crazy.
It is only because of that.
But before you continue, ABAC's schedule is up. They do have a good, nice little run here. They've got Warner, they've got Georgia Gwinnett, they've got Thomas, Coastal, they've got Life, obviously to start their conference. So there's a good bunch of games here against some very gamed opponents. So, but you were gonna put Blue Mountain Christian as your break right team?
I just need more throughout the season.
Not fair. That's fair enough. Fair enough.
I just need more.
But you went with ABAC. Like that's your confirmed.
Yes, that's my confirmed. But it's solely because Blue Mountain won a chip.
No, I mean I understand that too. I mean, to be honest with you, Blue Mountain Christian is in my next tier. They're at the door, and they're 8. I literally have them where they were last year. They're so. It was such a different start and end that I don't think you could really put them anywhere else. Who else do you have in your at the door? This is what I'm talking about. We've been thinking about these for the past couple days. While you think about it, my other 3 teams are in order. So I have number 10, I would have Point. Number 9, I would have Thomas. Number 8, Blue Mountain Christian. Number 7, going with Life.
I can rock with that.
You rock with that one? All right. So we're gonna rock with that one for now. I feel like playoff lock contenders are about to break his brain. For playoff locks, I've got Brewton-Parker. I've got Faulkner. I got Faulkner as 5.
I just realized where I messed up.
What?
Mobile should be a lot lower in my ranking than I think it should be.
I got Mobile at 4. I'll be honest with you. I got him at 4, but I was about to put Faulkner at 4, to be honest with you.
Faulkner's definitely
top 5. Top 5 for sure. Top 4 is where you and I are going to be kind of arguing here.
I was going as far as putting it basically 3.
Who you taking out? Who you taking out of? I gotta go back here. I gotta go back.
William Carey.
Really? Okay, so who are your playoff locks then? So I went again, Mobile, Faulkner, and Brewton-Parker. Where are you going?
I'm going Brewton-Parker, William Carey, and we can go Mobile.
You don't seem too thrilled about that though.
I don't, because it's in the seedless conference. It can go either way.
Fair enough.
But if I had to pick something, that's what I'm going with.
So then your contenders. I need to hear your contenders first. Well, we both have Loyola and UT Southern.
Faulkner, UT Southern, Loyola.
So you've got William Carey being your playoff lock, and you're putting Faulkner in there. I could get behind you putting Faulkner at 4, maybe. No, I can't get behind. Can I get behind 3? Because William Carey would be the first one. William Carey would be the first one I have out.
You definitely can.
I'm going Loyola, UT, William Carey. I'm going Faulkner at 5. I'll leave Mobile at 4. I'm Faulkner at 4. I'll put Mobile at 5. I will put Mobile at 5. But I can't put Faulkner in 3 just yet. They got it. I'm grandfathering clause. I'm grandfather clausing William Carey into that 3 at least. I can't put him any lower for now. We'll revisit this in the future, but for now,
that's like grandfathering Blue Mountain into the playoffs.
Who?
Blue Mountain.
Oh, Blue Mountain. I don't know what I heard. I mean, that's not like that. That's not grandfathering them in there. It's just the face of just like disappointment. Point being, what we can't agree on is these are out of all the tiers we've done and will do, these are probably the most uncertain tiers for all the conferences, because we legitimately believe with this collection of teams, this collection of talent, they can go either way. 1 through 10 for me is interchangeable, maybe even 11. Recap. Lex, you go first. Give me your break right at the door playoff locks and contenders.
Breaking right, ABAC. At the door, no particular order. We had Thomas, Point, Blue Mountain, and you know what? Rechange everything. I must. At the door, Thomas, Point, Blue Mountain, Mobile. Playoff locks. Life, Brewton-Parker. It's just two of those.
Okay, I see. It says 2. It's supposed to be 3. That's on me. Mistype. You can go.
Okay,
It's 3.
then
It's 3. It's 3.
Mobile.
Okay. Yeah.
Mobile will be right. That bottom one right
Maybe
there.
that's where the miscommunication. That was where the miscommunication was coming from.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so
then
okay, I got you. And then your contenders.
Mobile. No, whoa. Contenders. Loyola, UT Southern, Faulkner.
You can see this conference is racking at this man's brain. Why you figure it out if you want to go with that? I'm gonna give mine.
I know I want to go with it. I just didn't mention William Carey. I'm going to keep at the door. William Carey will be my playoff lock.
Okay. For me, I'll go opposite top to bottom. Contenders, I'm going Loyola, UT Southern, William Carey. Then I'm going Faulkner, Mobile, and Brewton-Parker as playoff locks. At the door, Life, Blue Mountain Christian, Thomas, Point, and then ABAC is going to be my break right team. But that will do it. That will do it for episode number 8. Part 6 is done of the conference previews. We are literally officially on the downside. We have done, I do math, 12 conferences already. We've got 4 parts left. We've got 8 conferences to go. And with time has flown by, to be honest with you, a lot of these conferences that are left, they're the less teams in these conferences, a lot less 10 plus conferences. So it's probably gonna go by a little bit quicker. At least feel like for us. For obviously for the people at home, it's gonna be every Friday, 8 a.m. sharp, Eastern Standard Time, like we always do. But we appreciate you if you've been with us for the entire episode. If you've been with us for just this part, for just Southern States, we appreciate you as well. Don't worry about it. But let's make sure that we're going back. Check out some of these interviews for the Southern States. Check out Coach Ross. It was a good one. I really liked that one. But make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you guys are following us on all our socials, Instagram, Twitter. We're going to try and continue to grow that again. Right now, not too much content going on, but once the season starts and we get closer to it, trust me, Lex and I, the team, we've been in talk. We've been communicating about what we want to do. Going to definitely try and be posting something every single day just to try and get everything rolling. But we appreciate you guys for all the support, all the love. We'll catch you guys in the next one.